Chapter 579. Why isn't anyone attacking me? Xiaoping walked on the street. He found that after more than 10 minutes, there didn't seem to be many people attacking him. The street was extremely quiet. Even if someone passed by and saw him, they would be so scared that their faces turned pale. They quickly ran away as if they wished their parents had given them more legs. It was likely that these contestants were afraid when they saw him defeat Li Hu and the Huang family's disciples with ease. They didn't dare to fight him at all. They were even worried that they would become his targets. The strength he displayed was too strong, and it would make many people afraid. This won't do. If this continues, how can I hone my martial arts? I have to force this group of people out. Xiaoping clenched his fists. Since this group of people didn't want to deal with him, he would deal with them. As the saying goes, if the mountain doesn't come, I'll go. Boom! Xiaoping circulated the qigong in his body and grabbed with both hands. True essence immediately surged out. Flames gathered together and quickly condensed into a fireball. This fireball was extremely huge, about the size of a watermelon. Flames slowly rotated inside the fireball, like a small sun, emitting a scorching aura. Go! Xiaoping threw the fireball at a nearby high-rise building with one hand. Suddenly, the fireball exploded, destroying the entire floor and razing it to the ground. And because the foundation of the building was destroyed, it immediately collapsed. Large pieces of rubble fell from the sky, and the entire building soon collapsed. But this was only the beginning. Along the way, Xiaoping threw huge fireballs, crazily destroying the surrounding high-rise buildings. The buildings collapsed one after another, and huge cracks appeared on the ground, causing violent tremors. The reason why he did this was not without reason, because these high-rise buildings were hiding contestants. They wouldn't come out unless it was necessary. But now that Xiaoping had destroyed the entire building and destroyed their lair, these people had to come out even if they didn't want to, unless they wanted to die. F***CK. Which son of a bitch is so immoral? I was hiding here and didn't make any enemies, but now the entire building has been destroyed. How can I rest? Suddenly, someone jumped out of a collapsed building. His face was covered in dust, and his clothes were stained with a lot of rubble. He obviously didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen. He was originally safe and sound, but someone actually started to tear down the building for no reason. It was too ridiculous. No one would do such a thing. After all, tearing down buildings for no reason would consume a lot of quintessential essence. Once most of one's quintessential essence was consumed, one would be targeted by others. At that time, one would not know how to write the word death. Only someone like Xiaoping, whose true essence was so vigorous that it was a complete mess, simply did not care about the consumption of true essence, and could instantly restore true essence, would dare to do such a thing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He was not the only one. Along the way, many buildings collapsed. Many warriors frantically ran out of these buildings. They were so scared that their faces turned green. They were almost buried alive. After all, they had been quietly hiding in these high-rise buildings, meditating cross-legged, aloof from worldly affairs, cultivating in seclusion and conserving their energy. Who would have thought that disaster would descend from the sky? Someone had torn down the entire building, making it impossible for them to hide. Look, it's that son of a bitch who did it. Someone immediately noticed Xiaoping's existence. This was because this guy was still quickly condensing fireballs and throwing them at the surrounding buildings. One by one, the buildings were blown up, and in a few breaths, the entire area was turned into ruins. The surroundings were filled with fire, and there were ruins everywhere. It was as if the old summer palace was on fire, and everything was destroyed. Looking at this bastard's appearance, he was simply a demon king of destruction. Killing and arson had become a habit. Stop immediately. What the hell are you doing here? Someone immediately jumped over and came in front of Xiaoping and suddenly shouted. Many warriors also rushed over, glaring angrily at Xiaoping. They simply wanted to eat him alive. What else can I do? Is there something wrong with your head? Or are you blind? Can't you see that I'm tearing down the building? Xiaoping squinted and looked at this group of people with a look of contempt. He felt that there was something wrong with their IQ. Tear down my ass. Hearing that this kid still dared to admit it, someone was so angry that smoke came out of his nose. Is there something wrong with your King head? You have nothing better to do all day and come here to tear down the building. Hurry up and stop. He glared at Xia Ping angrily and could not help but clench his fists. Do you know how wicked this behavior is? Are you trying to anger the public? If you have nothing better to do, go and behave atrociously elsewhere. Don't mess around here. If you still dare to mess around here, be careful that we won't be polite to you. We haven't even provoked you yet, but you're already starting to be presumptuous here and behave atrociously everywhere. Even Buddha has fire, do you know that? A group of warriors gritted their teeth, and their bodies revealed a murderous aura. Previously, they saw that Xia Ping's strength was extremely powerful. Even experts like Li, who were not a match for him. Fear grew in their hearts, so they did not step forward to provoke him casually. They wanted to temporarily avoid the sharp edge. However, they did not expect that, even though they wanted to avoid the sharp edge, this kid did not want to let them have an easy time. He actually began to fight at their door and destroyed all the surrounding buildings. This was clearly an attempt to make all of them his enemy. The people in the live stream were in an uproar when they saw this scene. They felt that this kid Xia Ping's brain had really gone haywire. To do such a reckless and stupid thing, was it not obvious that he was provoking the public? Once this group of warriors became angry and everyone joined forces, how could this kid survive? So what if I'm presumptuous? So what if I provoke you? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked down on the world. It's not that I'm looking down on you, but even if I shit and pee on your heads, you won't dare to say a word. Let me ask you, do you believe me? What? Hearing this, the group of warriors were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. Their faces turned green. Initially, they were still afraid of this kid's strength and did not dare to act rashly. However, now that they heard these words, how could they hold it in? If they did not teach this kid a lesson today, where would they put their faces? Would they even have any face left? Too arrogant, too condescending. Let's go together and kill him. The dozens of participants were furious. It was the kind of anger that could not be contained. They could not suppress the anger in their hearts at all, and a terrifying aura exploded from their bodies. With their bodies as the center, it seemed to have formed a terrifying aura. The tremors caused huge pits to appear under their feet, and cracks spread out for a few kilometers. Whoosh! Chapter 580. It's over. This kid is completely finished. Provoking public anger, it would be strange if he could survive. Dozens of people against one. Even if this kid has wings, he can't fly out. He deserves it for being arrogant. It seems that there's no need to come to the second round. Now the qualifier will eliminate this kid. It's good to be eliminated. I don't want to see this arrogant bastard continue to show off here. Many spectators shook their heads, thinking that Xia Ping was dead this time. Facing the attack of dozens of powerful martial masters, even a peak martial master expert was no match at all. As the saying goes, 2 fists can't fight 4 hands, which shows the importance of numbers. Once the number of people formed a scale, no matter how powerful they were, they would be completely defeated. Moreover, this group of people were not ordinary people. All of them were geniuses who had advanced to the martial master realm, which was even more terrifying. Being besieged by so many people, it was estimated that even the pride of the King family would be scared to the point of turning green. Rumble, in an instant, dozens of contestants attacked at the same time, each showing a powerful Qigong cultivation, at least in the 5th heaven of martial master realm, and also Master King level Qigong. As soon as they attacked, dozens of different terrifying forces bombarded through the air, some soft, some hard, some entangling, some cold, some hot, and so on. But the power of each force was enough to smash a small mountain. The power was tyrannical, and ordinary people could not resist it at all. Now these forces gathered together. It was like a tide, enough to drown everything. Dark North Body Protection Technique. At this moment, Xia Ping stepped forward, his hands turned into a circle like Tai Chi, his left hand stretched out, his right hand pulled back. Like 2 levels of heaven and earth, his body formed an air shield like flowing water. Bang, bang, bang. Dozens of forces attacked, like flood dragons, but when they touched Xiao Ping's air shield, they were immediately pulled out and bombarded in another direction. It was as if at this moment, Xiao Ping's martial arts realm had reached the strength stage, playing with these attacks in the palm of his hand. With his body as the center, a spiral airflow was produced, and all the power attacking his body would be rotated out, unable to hit his body at all. Damn, not good. Our attack was reflected. Quickly hide from me. Instantly, the faces of the competitors fell. As martial masters, their instincts told them that they were in mortal danger. Their vengeful attacks had been deflected by this brat's mysterious qigong. In other words, they would have to face their own terrifying attacks, as if they were fighting against themselves. Bang, bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, the energy returned to their bodies. The air trembled continuously, producing a crazy explosion. In an instant, the group of contestants was sent flying. Some forcibly resisted, but they also coughed up blood on the spot, their chi and blood surging. Some of them were caught off guard and were sent flying, scraping across the ground for dozens of meters. Some people reacted quickly and dodged in time, avoiding this fatal blow. However, most of the people were unable to react in time and were heavily injured in an instant. They were in an incomparably sorry state. Cracks appeared on the ground as gotcha sounds rang out and crushed stones flew in all directions. Why don't you try out my pure, yang, indestructible incantation? Xiao Ping took a step forward and madly circulated his qigong. The true essence in the depths of his dantian boiled like lava, and his heart shone like the sun. At this moment, wisps of dark red flames emerged from the depths of his 108,000 pores. It was as if his entire body had turned into a super flaming man at this moment. The flames even distorted the air, faintly producing a strange phenomenon behind him. The flames condensed into a giant flaming bird, which threw its head back and let out a long cry, causing the sound waves to reverberate. At this moment, the temperature rose by dozens of degrees, hundreds of degrees, and even thousands of degrees. Dark red flames dripped down from his body, corroding the ground and making sizzling sounds. In an instant, the ground was turned into a ball of lava, and even the steel melted into a pile of molten iron. This kind of flame was enough to burn down the entire world. What a freak! What kind of fire qigong is this? King low grade, mid grade, high grade. Could it be peerless king grade? This kind of flame is too terrifying. It's like a god of fire. A drop of flame on the ground turned into lava. This is a bit exaggerated. You can't fight it head on. If you touch it, you'll die. Hurry up and dodge. When the competitors saw this, they were scared out of their wits. Their legs were shaking like sieves. This kind of flame burned like the essence of the sun, with a temperature of over 1,000 degrees. If they dared to touch it, their bodies would probably melt. Kill! Xiao Ping punched out, his psychic power fusing into every wisp of flame. It was as if he had become one with heaven and earth, and all the power of fire was under his control. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The moment he blasted out, the flames erupted and quickly condensed into many flaming divine birds that flew in all directions, attacking each and every participant with incomparable precision. Just as these flaming birds were about to reach the competitors, under his psychic control, they exploded. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, the competitors had no way to dodge and were all blown away. It was as if they had come into contact with a ton of explosives. The power was earth-shattering. In an instant, the power tore apart their energy shields, and the flames even invaded their bodies, turning them into flaming people. Some people hurriedly used their qigong to try to extinguish the flames, but it was useless. Instead, the more they used their qigong, the more fierce the flames became, and they burned even more fiercely. In a few breaths, they were turned into flaming people, and the air seemed to be filled with the smell of burning. They were about to be roasted. In the next second, the group of people turned into balls of white light and quickly flew away, teleported away from this place. Go to hell. Xiao Ping punched out again and again, like a tiger in a flock of sheep. Countless flaming fist prints appeared in the air, each of them strong enough to shake mountains, and contained unparalleled power. The competitors screamed again and again. When they were hit by the fist prince, if their lungs were not injured, they would be burned. All of them were extremely miserable, and in a few breaths, they had lost the ability to fight and were eliminated. They turned into white light and quickly left the place. An hour later, dozens, even hundreds of competitors were all crippled and completely eliminated. The entire place, with a radius of several kilometers, was razed to the ground. Tall buildings collapsed, turning into ruins, and huge, deep pits appeared on the ground. From time to time, lava would come out, flames would rise, and thick smoke would billow. And the person standing there was only Xia Ping. Chapter 581. In a live broadcast room, when Feng Hetong and the others saw this scene, all of them cheered, extremely excited. As expected of Big Brother. Those illiterates are no match for Big Brother. Some idiots thought that Big Brother would fail and be eliminated. Little did they know that they were dreaming. How can a bunch of illiterates fight? Don't tell me that a bunch of ants working together can defeat an elephant. What are you talking about? I could stomp a bunch of them to death. Looks like Big Brother is indeed invincible. He'll soon dominate the cloud realm and stand out. He might even become a king. Our status will rise along with the tide. At that time, wouldn't we be able to scare those lowlifes to the point of pissing their pants and trembling in fear when we announce boss name? Keep a low profile. If we stand out too much, people will think we're arrogant. The people of the Pingtian Gate were proud. Xiaoping's battle had shocked countless people. He had defeated hundreds of opponents with a wave of his hand. No matter where he was, he could be called a genius. Such an impressive battle record. Come on out. Did anyone jump out and say something? Feng Hatong shouted. There were people who said that my big brother was dead for sure, and that he would be beaten up by these angry contestants and be eliminated. All of them quoted the classics and spoke so logically that I almost believed them. What about now? What's the situation? Are there any grandmasters who can analyze what's going on? Did those people take money? That's why Big Brother defeated them with a wave of his hand. Damn fatty. Bastard. Everyone's faces turned green when they heard this. They saw that Xia Ping was at a disadvantage and thought that he would lose for sure. They all quoted scriptures and various martial theories to say that this kid would lose without a doubt. There were even grandmasters who came out to prove it. But now, the situation was reversed. Xia Ping had won with a great advantage. This result slapped the faces of these theoretical experts swollen. They felt that it was very unreasonable. At this time, many people who looked down on Xia Ping shut their mouths. They didn't dare to say anything for fear of being beaten up. Even so, some people gritted their teeth. They felt that Xia Ping's lackeys were extremely thick-skinned. They didn't see how arrogant they were just now. How dare they say that they were low-key? How shameless. Invincible, my ass. If he's invincible with such strength, where are the other geniuses? Some people felt sullen inside, unwilling to accept this, immediately cursing loudly. Although this kid had defeated so many experts and his strength was absolutely tyrannical, bragging that he was already invincible in the world was really too shameless. Even a laser cannon couldn't penetrate it. If this kind of strength could be considered invincible, then where would he place grandmasters and kings? A mere sixth-layer martial master dares to say that he is undefeatable in the world? This bastard is really shameless. You still want to proclaim yourself king? Proclaim your ass. Do you think the other geniuses are dead? If he were to encounter other top experts, he wouldn't even know how he died. The group of people clenched their teeth, wishing that a few tyrannical experts would immediately appear and violently beat this brat up. They would beat him until he couldn't speak for 3 days. Only then would they be able to think clearly. Is there anyone who can take care of this bastard? I can't watch any longer. Perhaps the heavens have eyes and send down a bolt of lightning, turning this bastard into charcoal. Quite a few people let out a long sigh towards the sky, fiercely cursing. Some people were speechless. Damn it, will this bastard die if he doesn't brag? He really doesn't know what it means to be low-key. In truth, he wasn't dissatisfied with Xia Ping. To have such strength at such a young age, no matter where he He was worthy of the respect of countless people and was known as a future king. The problem was that this brat's personality was too annoying and his mouth was too cheap. They didn't have a good impression of him at all. They all hoped that someone would take care of him and teach him a lesson. Defeating some elite students is enough to make him arrogant. It's not just arrogant. Look at his eyes. They seem to be growing on his forehead. He can't be blamed. Anyone would have this kind of illusion after personally defeating hundreds of elite students. Bullsh ** T. For example, Xia Ansho, who is bathed in dragon blood, and Bai Qingqing, who has the seven-orifice exquisite body. Which one of them doesn't have the strength to fight 100 enemies? I don't see them bragging about being undefeatable in the world. That's right, this bastard's strength is not bad, but he is too arrogant. I just want to beat him up. An empty bucket doesn't make a sound, a full bucket doesn't make sound. Half a bucket of water is the loudest. Many of the audience members bared their teeth. They were all very dissatisfied with Xia Ping's attitude. They felt that this guy was too arrogant and looked down on everyone. If it was said that this kid's strength was extremely weak, then saying such word would only make people laugh. However, his strength wasn't simple. He could defeat countless elite students, but he couldn't be considered the strongest. His strength was neither strong nor weak, like he was half a bucket of water. This made them feel very depressed. They couldn't say it, but they also could not say it. Rumble at this moment, after experiencing a big battle, Xia Ping felt the true essence in his body boil. The medicinal power in the depths of his body was being refined like crazy, and a large amount of true essence energy surged out. It came out from the depths of his dantian and churned like lava. Then it flowed through his dantian and into his countless meridians like a river. When this true essence rose to the limit, he felt his body swell, and his meridians couldn't hold it anymore. Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, Xia Ping's body emitted waves of tiger and leopard roars. Like a flood bursting through a dam, 3 of his meridians were broken in an instant. Immediately, the true essence in his body increased crazily. With his body as the center, a strong aura was immediately generated, covering a radius of several kilometers, rolling up a large amount of dust. The wind howled around him, and the divine birds cried. It was a shocking scene. A deep crater was formed on the ground, crackling and densely packed with cracks. Sure enough, fighting is the fastest shortcut to cultivation. Xia Ping clenched his fists, making cracking sounds. He felt the strong strength of his muscles and the unfathomable true essence. If he were to meditate and cultivate, it would take at least a few months to break through a few meridians steadily. However, in a life-and-death battle with an enemy, under the strong pressure, his potential was rapidly developed, and his true essence was rapidly increased. Then, breaking through was as easy as drinking water. Moreover, he also felt that his body had been greatly tempered, and his spiritual force had also increased a little. His control over his body and strength had also become more exquisite. He had made great progress. Just this day alone was comparable to a few months of cultivation. The benefits were endless. Looks like I have to continue to find trouble with others. Xia Ping's blood was boiling, and his eyes were filled with endless battle intent. He could feel that he was not far from breaking through to the 7th heaven of Martial Master. Maybe when the preliminaries were about to end, he would be able to reach the 7th heaven of Martial Master and reach the advanced Martial Master realm. By then, he would have the absolute power to compete with many geniuses, and there would be hope for him to become the champion of this genius contest. Whoosh! Xia Ping's figure flickered, and he used the Kuan Peng steps to go to another area to find more opponents. Chapter 582. Bunch of trash, come out. Don't hide, you can't hide. Fight 300 rounds with me and see who wins. If you don't have the strength, go home and farm. Don't be an eyesore here. Xia Ping swept through the area, destroying buildings one by one. Countless participants were forced to come out to fight with him. They were all extremely sullen and helpless. Although they were all angry, there was nothing they could do. They could only fight with Xia Ping and continue to be abused. Many people were going crazy. hating Xiaoping to the bone. Xiaoping swept through the area and even attacked other experts without restraint. This matter soon spread to the entire competition area, and Xiaoping's name was also known by countless experts in this competition area. They knew that there was an arrogant person who was causing trouble everywhere. He was completely unrestrained, and who knew how many people he had defeated. A group of participants was beaten back to their homes to rest. Even a group of angry participants working together was no match for this kid. They were all burned to death. Damn it. How can the shit-stirrer Xiaoping be so arrogant? He completely ignores the rules and causes trouble everywhere. If this continues, won't most of them be defeated and eliminated? Someone was half dead with anger. He had been hiding in a building, but this kid had set it on fire. If he hadn't run away quickly, he would have been suffocated in the building. Now, he had been crushed like a dead dog by this kid. Not to mention how angry he was, he even wanted to kill Xiaoping. Just this, and he's already arrogant. He even said that other than the students of Yanwang University, the students of other schools are all trash. He said that those who graduated from high school are illiterate, even worse than trash. His eyes are all on his head. Someone gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. The veins on his forehead were bulging. He thought of Xiaoping's words. These words made him choke with anger, and his lungs almost burst. Because he studied in a third-rate university, being able to participate in the genius competition proved that his talent was absolutely tyrannical. But this kid thought he was trash and looked down on him. How could he tolerate this? Damn it, so arrogant. Did no one take care of him? I'm not bragging, but in my hometown, this kind of person would have been beaten long ago. None of them would survive. A group of people gritted their teeth, very angry. Why didn't anyone take care of him? Of course there was, and it was a group of them, but they all failed. Previously, dozens of contestants had joined hands, but they were all burned to death by him. If not for the system's protection, they would have been turned into ashes long ago. Previously, an expert in the 9th level of the Martial Master realm tried to sneak an attack on him while he was resting. However, he was punched in the back and his head was almost deformed. It seems that this kid has comprehended the realm of cicada awareness before the autumn wind moves. Even the slightest movement of grass in the wind cannot be hidden from his spiritual perception. Sneak attacks won't work, and besieging him won't work either. Looks like he's really the king of this competition zone. Not necessarily. This brat isn't the strongest in our division. It is said that Lu Chao, who possesses the bloodline of the King Kong demonic ape, is also here. If he personally makes a move, he will definitely die. Many people were incomparably angry, but there was nothing they could do because this kid's strength was indeed not bad, and ordinary warriors were not his match at all. He reckoned that the only way to stop him would be for a genius to take action. But even so, there were still some hot-tempered participants who didn't believe it. They all took action to cause trouble for Xiaoping, wanting to teach this arrogant fellow a lesson. The entire competition zone was in a mess because of Xiaoping. It was extremely embarrassing, and the flames of war were everywhere. However, there were also people who ignored Xiaoping and kept a low profile. This kid from Yanwang University is really happy. He's too stupid. He actually dares to be so unscrupulous and expose his strength wantonly here. What's the preliminaries? What's really important is the second round, which is the battle for the championship. Indeed, he has exposed all his secrets now. When the time comes, people will study him and find out his martial arts weaknesses. How can he be a match for others? He will be defeated immediately. Ignore him. He's just someone who likes to be in the limelight. It's fine as long as we can pass the preliminaries. Wait until the second round of the competition. This kid will know how powerful he is. He won't be able to go far at all. People who don't know how to hide their strength will never become great. Some people hid in the dark. All of them had extraordinary strength, and they had long set their sights on the battle for the championship. A mere preliminaries was just the first step, and they didn't care about it all. As for Xiaoping's provocation, it couldn't even anger them at all. They completely ignored it as if it was air. At this time, in a corner of the competition area, 2 or 3 people gathered together. All of them were LV9 martial masters. They were strong and had already reached the peak of martial master realm, which was enough to sweep away a large number of opponents. One of them was 9 meters tall, with thick hair and muscles all over his body like they were cast from steel. He gave off a wild and violent aura, like an ancient demonic ape. This person was Lu Chao. Big Brother Lu, that Yinhuang University's Xiaoping has been very arrogant recently, causing trouble everywhere. He claims to be invincible in the world and doesn't take anyone seriously. Should we go over and teach him a lesson so he knows what's good for him? Someone clenched his fist, making cracking sounds, and a ferocious light shone in his eyes. We do need to teach him a lesson. He's just a LV6 martial master, and yet he's so arrogant. He claims to be invincible. What does he think of Brother Lu? There's no need for Brother Lu to do anything. I can defeat him alone. Indeed, if Brother Lu were to take action, it would be like using a butcher's knife to butcher a chicken. We would be enough. A few people laughed coldly. They were all very dissatisfied with Xiaoping's arrogance. He dared to say such words. What did he think of them? They were all very unhappy. Let him be arrogant for now, Lu Chao said calmly. The more he jumps, the better. The more trouble he causes, the better. When he's at his peak, I'll personally take action and kick him off his pedestal. He'll probably never forget it. His tone was sinister, and his eyes shone with a cold light like that of a wild beast. Brilliant, really brilliant. As expected of Brother Lu, he's so far-sighted. Killing him now would be too easy on him. On the last day, when he's full of himself, I'll personally take him down in front of everyone. Let's see if he still has any face left then. Haha, Big Brother Lu is right. What's more satisfying than trampling on a person at his peak? I'm afraid that Brad is going to lose a lot of face this time. Maybe his heart of martial arts will collapse, and he'll never be able to break through to the Grandmaster realm. What does that have to do with us? This is just because he's too arrogant. A few people laughed coldly. They could almost see the scene of Xiaoping being defeated by their brother Lu, crying and breaking down completely. Chapter 583. 7 days later, on a street. Broken buildings and broken walls could be seen everywhere. Fire beacons could be seen everywhere. Broken cars lay quietly on the ground. Gravel and dust were flying everywhere. Large amounts of plastic bags and paper were flying in the wind. Nearby buildings had collapsed, and huge rocks were shattered. At the same time, there were huge craters. Large amounts of blood flowed on the ground, and the air was filled with an unpleasant smell of blood. This scene was like the end of the world. On this desolate street, there was only one person standing. It was Xiaoping. There was a bloody battle here, just now. More than 10 geniuses attacked Xiaoping and wanted to get points. However, they were all killed by Xiaoping with his bare hands. This caused the place to be severely damaged. Peak 6th layer martial master. A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. He felt that his quintessential essence had reached its peak. His body had opened 72 meridians. He only needed one more meridian to completely advance to the 7th heaven of martial master. He had also benefited a lot from the intense battles over the past few days. Some people ambushed him, some ganged up on him, and some even poisoned him. However, all of them were useless. Xiaoping dealt with them all. Instead, those people were killed and eliminated, while he survived. Such an intense battle had also allowed him to improve rapidly. He had reached the peak 6th layer martial master. Just a little bit more, and I can advance to the 7th layer martial master. Xiaoping felt that he was still short of an intense battle. Only then would he be able to break through the bottleneck and open the 73rd meridian, advancing to the advanced martial master realm. Suddenly, Xiaoping raised his head and felt a murderous aura coming from afar. This was a feeling that he had never felt before. It was as if every cell in his body was trembling. The person coming was more terrifying than he had imagined. Dong! At this moment, a huge figure fell from the sky like a meteor. It instantly smashed onto the ground, and immediately a huge crater with a diameter of tens of meters appeared on the ground. When the smoke and dust dissipated, the figure appeared in front of Xiaoping. He was 9 meters tall and gave off an extremely oppressive feeling. He was covered with thick hair, and mysterious inscriptions were carved on his forehead. He looked like an ancient violent ape. He held a huge metal rod in his hand. It seemed to weigh thousands of kilograms. Standing on the spot, he looked like a small mountain. This kind of aura was even more terrifying than Li Hu. Lu Chao. On the street, Xiaoping narrowed his eyes as he stared at the person before him. He recognized this person as the famous Lu Chao, who possessed the bloodline of the Vajra demon ape. Legend had it that he had an indestructible body and an invincible defense. Xiaoping. Lu Chao grinned and stared at Xiaoping, his voice cold. On this street, on the last day, the two peak experts of this competition zone met. The two of them stood in place, their auras colliding. With a pung sound, it was as if a gale had collided, and an earth-shattering sound erupted. Lu Chao, Xiaoping, the two of them finally meet. On the last day, Lu Chao actually took action personally. It seems this kid's arrogance has reached its limit. I reckon Lu Chao did it on purpose, choosing to make his move on the last day. He wants to beat this brat to the ground on this day, where everyone is watching, establishing his prestige. Xiaoping won't have much luck in this battle, that's for sure. Lu Chao is a 9th-layer martial master with an indestructible body. No matter how strong this kid is, he won't be able to break through his defense. Indeed, if he can't even break through his defense, then it's only a matter of time before he loses. Many participants had also appeared on the streets. Their auras were hidden in the surroundings. They had also noticed that Xiaoping and Lu Chao were facing off against each other. It was already the last day, and those who could survive were all experts and peerless geniuses. Therefore, these people were not afraid of Xiaoping and Lu Chao, and they just watched the battle from the side. Some of them even had the idea that once both sides were heavily injured, they would be the Oriole behind, and the fishermen would reap the benefits. If they could kill these two people, they would be able to obtain a lot of points. Especially Xiaoping, who had killed countless opponents in the past few days. If it was based on points, he would definitely be ranked first in this competition zone. After all, no one was as crazy as this kid. You want to fight me? Xiaoping squinted his eyes and stared at Lu Chao. Lu Chao smiled faintly. Of course, I would like to see for myself exactly how strong Xiaoping is. He's only a 6th-layer martial master, but he's already suppressed many geniuses. Some 9th-layer martial masters tried to attack you, but you killed them with a single punch. His eyes were filled with madness and murderous intent. If we fight, both of us might be injured, and the one who wins will be taken advantage of by others. Why don't we join forces and kill these people? Xiaoping said with a smile as he made a suggestion. What? The surrounding participants' faces turned green. This Xiaoping was extremely vicious. He wanted to join forces with Lu Chao to kill all of them and eliminate them. This was not giving them a chance to live. Some people immediately gave up on the idea of taking advantage of Xiaoping. Their hearts were trembling, and they felt that this place was extremely dangerous. If they were targeted by Xiaoping and Lu Chao, they would definitely die. Some people wanted to run away as soon as possible. There's no need for that. Lu Chao sneered, because killing you won't be an internecine outcome. A few moves are enough. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Chao stomped on the ground. Instantly, the whole street cracked, and a terrifying crack that stretched for a few kilometers appeared. Huge rocks flew out one after another. He broke through the sound barrier and appeared in front of Xiaoping in an instant. He smashed his metal rod down from the sky, tearing the air apart and exploding with hundreds of tons of force. So fast, Xiaoping condensed a pair of wings on his back. In an instant, he performed the Kuan Peng steps and moved dozens of meters away like a divine bird, dodging the fatal attack. Die. At the same time, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He punched out, and the fist energy became solid. The third move of the myriad beast fist, bear, splitting palm. A huge ancient bear reached out with its huge hand. The surrounding space was filled with a barbaric aura. The forest shook, and thousands of beasts crawled on the ground, shivering. The power of this move was enough to crush a mountain. So strong. He's only in the 6th stage of the martial master realm, but his true essence is so thick and powerful. He's like a baby divine beast. Lu Chao's eyes narrowed, and he was secretly shocked. The air exploded when this palm came. The move had reached the acme of perfection, and it contained the power of the Ripper Beast. An ordinary martial master would probably be killed by this palm. Dong! At this moment, the huge rod and the bear's paw collided. It was like a demonic ape and a giant bear colliding. In an instant, there was a huge explosion, and a rumbling sound was heard. Chapter 584. You want to dominate this place with only this kind of power? What a joke. Lu Chao sneered and smashed down with the metal rod in his hand. His attack was as fast as lightning, fierce and merciless. Immediately, the surrounding air was expelled, forming a vacuum zone. This kind of power contained a terrifying, killing intent, which made people tremble. Bang! Xiaoping punched out to contend with it. The tyrannical power collided like a big explosion. The terrifying impact of the collision condensed into a substance, like wind blades, sweeping in all directions. With a few puffs, the surrounding buildings were cut in half at the middle. With a bang, the rod smashed down, and suddenly a deep pit with a diameter of 10 meters appeared on the street. With a cracking sound, gravel flew in all directions, flying into the distance. And these gravel exerted endless power. It was even faster than a sniper bullet, whistling through the air. Aha! The surrounding contestants who were watching were caught off guard. Who would have thought that the aftermath alone would have such a terrifying power? One by one, they were hit by the gravel, and some even had their abdomens pierced, dripping with blood. There were also some who had one arm broken, one leg split in two. They let out shrill screams and fell to the ground, crying bitterly. The intense pain spread throughout their body, and they could not bear it at all. Immediately, many people were immediately eliminated, turning into a white light and leaving the scene. Damn, we can't stay here anymore. These two monsters, too strong. The group of contestants was scared half to death. Just the shock waves from the battle between these two people could kill a group of people, and this was just the beginning. If this continued, as the intensity of the battle increased, wouldn't a lot of them die? At that time, they would be eliminated for no reason, and it would really be too unjust to die. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Many people did not dare to stay at all, and left one after another. They only felt safe after running for a full 3 or 4 kilometers. In a live broadcast room, the group of viewers was also stunned. They had never seen such an intense battle. The surging aftermath formed wind blades, cutting the houses. Just the gravel that was blasted out was comparable to a sniper bullet, and it was certain to die. Before, they had also seen many martial master level battles, but compared to these two people, it was not worth mentioning at all. This was completely different. They seemed to be watching two future kings dueling. Bang, bang, bang. On the street, two figures were clashing madly. Sticks and fists collided, producing a metallic clanging sound. The onlookers could barely keep up with the speed of the two. They could only see two balls of air colliding. Every collision would create a huge crater in the ground and destroy a building. In just a few seconds, the two of them seemed to have collided hundreds of times, destroying the entire street. Chance! Xiaoping rotated his qigong, causing true energy to flow through his meridians and every cell in his body to breathe. His eyes were fixed on Lu Chao. After more than 100 collisions, Lu Chao had expended a lot of energy, and he was breathing unnaturally. Although it was just a trace, for an expert of Xiaoping's level, it was a huge flaw. Dying. A cold glint appeared in Xiaoping's eyes as he used the Kuan Peng steps. A pair of wings appeared on his back, and he sped up. He was like a divine bird, leaving behind multiple afterimages in the air. He found an opening in Lu Chao's defense, and he clenched his fists as he attacked like a ferocious tiger. Dong! Lu Chao was caught off guard and was left wide open. The punch landed solidly on Lu Chao's chest, and a terrifying force exploded. What? Xiaoping's pupil shrank because he felt that his punch hit Lu Chao's body as if it had hit a body of steel. A clanging sound and dazzling sparks burst out. However, Lu Chao's body did not move at all. His body was covered by a layer of golden energy, which completely blocked the punch. Such a blow could not hurt him at all. Haha, it's useless. Your attack is useless against me. My body is indestructible. Even an expert who has just been promoted to the master level may not be able to break my body. What can you do? Go to hell. Lu Chao's face was ferocious. His muscles instantly swelled. He clenched the golden stick in his hand and smashed it at Xiao Ping. The speed was so fast that it could not be seen by the naked eye. Bang! Xiao Ping tried to block, but he was still hit by the stick. The terrifying force hit him and sent him flying. His feet plowed the ground and slid for hundreds of meters before he came to a stop. He felt that the attack was extremely terrifying. The unparalleled force tried to penetrate his defense. It shook thousands of times, trying to destroy his internal organs and make his blood and qi tumble. A deep ravine was left on the cement floor, as if it had been destroyed by a violent ape. It left a shocking mark. What a strong, indestructible body. Xiao Ping could feel that even an ordinary expert in the 9th tier of martial arts would not dare to take his punch head-on. If they dared to take it head-on, they would immediately be seriously injured. However, Lu Chao dared. He deliberately left himself wide open and took Xiao Ping's punch head-on. However, he did not move at all. A mysterious golden energy was emitted from his body. It was as if gold was cast in every part of his body, causing his body to become hard. It was as if he had cultivated the peerless Qigong to the highest level. However, ordinary martial artists needed to cultivate the Vajra Qigong for many years, take many precious medicines, and put in a lot of effort to reach such a high level. Once reached, the martial artist would probably be in his 70s or 80s. However, Lu Chao was different. Once his bloodline was activated, he would immediately have such power. It was as if he had cultivated the Vajra Qigong to the great success realm. There are almost no weaknesses. Such an ability was almost like a divine ability. Xiao Ping had also seen the terror of this legendary genius. It was definitely not something that other martial artists could compare to. This was enough to suppress a genius of an era. Xiao Ping, is this all you have? If that's the case, then you can go and die now. Earth-shaking 36 strikes. Lu Chao laughed like a madman, gripping the metal stick tightly. Earth-shaking 36 strikes was Lu Chao's king-level secret art. It had reached the king-level high grade. It was infinitely powerful, and each strike contained endless ingenuity and endless changes. In fact, the power of each strike was more terrifying than the one before. It was unparalleled. When the power of the 36 strikes was stacked together, it was enough to shake the heavens and the earth. In the past, there was also an invincible king who used the earth-shaking 36 strikes. In the end, he killed 36 demon kings on the spot and destroyed thousands of kilometers. With one strike, he could change rivers and smash mountains. Rumble. Chapter 585. 10,000 Beast Fist. Xiao Ping stood where he was, calm and composed. He immediately displayed the 10,000 Beast Fist and punched out. In the blink of an eye, many figures appeared on the ground. These figures were apes, lions, black bears, sharks, elephants, flying cranes, bulls, and so on. Many ferocious beasts appeared on the streets. Every blow contained the power of 10,000 beasts, setting off huge waves. Bang, bang, bang. The two forces collided wildly, and every time they collided, there was a loud sound and a pit appeared on the ground. What a fierce power! Xiao Ping's pupils shrank. He felt that this 36 staffs shaking the earth was very extraordinary. Each staff contained an extremely exquisite move. It was natural, and even the power of the staff was infinite. When the staff came down, it was like a mountain smashing down. Every time the staff hit, even with the protection of Dark North Body Protection Technique, he felt his blood boil, as if all the bones in his body were shattered by this power. If an ordinary warrior encountered such a staff technique, he would have been killed by a staff. It could only be said that this Lu Chao was too strong. He had the bloodline of the King Kong Demon Ape, which gave him invincible power. He was even more terrifying than Li Hu. In addition, This King Kong body was invincible in defense. Adding the two together, his combat power increased geometrically and he was invincible. Xiaoping, let's see how long you can resist. Go to hell. Lu Chao was extremely arrogant. He didn't defend at all. Every move was a fight to the death. They were all fatal moves. When a staff came down, layers of staff shadows appeared. It was like a mountain crushing down. It was extremely heavy, and the terrifying airflow was enough to flatten the earth. Lu Chao is too strong. I can't match him at all. This Xiaoping is not a match at all. It's only a matter of time before he loses. There's no other way. It's not that Xiaoping is not strong enough, but that Lu Chao is too abnormal. Not to mention anything else, just his King Kong body alone, who can destroy his body. As long as there is no way to destroy it, then he is in an invincible position. It's a pity that Xiaoping is also an expert, but he can only be considered unlucky to meet Lu Chao. It doesn't matter even if we lose. We still have half of the points left. Just these points alone should be enough for us to qualify. He might not necessarily lose. This Xiaoping is a peerless monster. Who knows if he has any more tricks up his sleeves? Humph, he's just a LV6 martial master. Do you think he can go against the heavens? Backup plans? How can there be so many backup plans in the world? Just blocking Lu Chao must have exhausted all of his strength. In the live broadcast room, many viewers were watching this scene. They thought that Lu Chao had gained the upper hand, and it was only a matter of time before Xiaoping was defeated and killed. However, many people also admitted that Xiaoping was quite amazing to be able to fight with Lu Chao to this extent. He was just young now, but in a few years, it would probably be this kid's world. Come on, continue. At this moment, Xiaoping was extremely excited. He could feel the blood in his body boiling. His eyes shone with a boundless battle intent as he fought Lu Chao to the death. This was because he could feel that every time Lu Chao collided with his body, it would cause a huge shock. Through the Northern Dark Body Protection Art, it would continuously temper his body. At the same time, the medicinal power in the depths of his body, as well as the potential that had been completely consumed, were also being tempered by this kind of tempering. The true essence in the meridians in his body was flowing like a river. It could be said that Lu Chao's attacks were simply assisting his cultivation, helping him temper his body and making it stronger. This saved him a lot of time. He felt the true essence in his body surging like an ocean. 72 meridians were surging like 72 rivers. The rapidly increasing true essence was about to burst his meridians. Once the true essence in his body reached its peak, he would be able to break through the 73rd meridian and step into the 7th level of the martial master realm. Crazy. This kid has gone completely crazy. Someone was dumbfounded because he saw that Xiaoping seemed to have gone crazy as well. He did not care about his body's defense at all as he exchanged punches and kicks with Lu Chao. The power of each punch was incomparably fierce, like a ferocious beast, his body emitting a violent wildness. What is this kid trying to do? Even if he wants to die, he shouldn't do it like this. The people in the live broadcast room were also dumbfounded. They could not understand why Xiaoping would actually abandon his body's defense and fight Lu Chao head-on. One had to know how terrifying Lu Chao's strength was. Even through the screen, they could see how terrifying Lu Chao's strength was. With a swing of the rod, the air trembled and the rod's shadow condensed into a solid substance, flattening the entire street. If the rod landed on a human body, they would probably be turned into a pile of meat paste in an instant. However, this kid actually did not care about such terrifying strength at all. His ferocious nature was unleashed as he fought Lu Chao to the death. His fists condensed chi energy like a human weapon. It's like two wild beasts fighting to the death. Someone's heart was trembling. This was too violent, too barbaric. Both of them were like this. One was an ancient demon ape holding a rod in his hand. He was the invincible ape king in the forest. The other was also an ancient savage. He was barehanded, but he had boundless strength that was enough to tear tigers and leopards apart. He fought with the ape king in the forest. Every time they collided, a large amount of blood would splatter. It was extremely cruel and bloody. It was as if the two of them did not care about their lives and were fighting to the death. If they were in their shoes, they would probably be torn apart in a second. Not even dregs would be left. Damn it, how can this kid's body be so strong? His defense doesn't seem to be inferior to mine. No one was more shocked than Lu Chao. He thought that with his rod technique, he could beat this kid to death in a few moves and eliminate him. However, he did not expect that this kid's strength was far beyond his imagination. His rod struck the kid's arm, thigh, neck, back, and even his head. He thought that he would be able to beat the kid into a pile of meat paste. However, it was all useless. He felt that when his rod struck the kid's body, it was like hitting a ball of cotton. In an instant, his strength was completely absorbed. He was unable to touch the other party's internal organs in the slightest. It was different from his extremely tough defense. The other party's defense was extremely soft. It was like the ocean that could contain all rivers. It could absorb all kinds of energy and even transform it into its own. It can't be. Could it be that he also cultivated a peerless defensive technique that could rival my diamond demon ape bloodline? Could it even surpass it? No, that's impossible. It's impossible for him to last for too long. Chapter 586. Xiaoping, I don't want to play with you anymore. This time, I will kill you with one strike. Lu Chao roared. His eyes flashed with a red light, exuding a violent aura. King Kong Demon Ape. Rumbling could be heard as Lu Chao exploded with power. His blood boiled, and his muscles bulged. His body doubled in size, and he grew to a height of 3 meters. Right now, he was like a little giant possessing overwhelming power. What's going on? Why did Lu Chao's body suddenly grow bigger? It is said that this is a bloodline secret skill. If it is completely activated, it can increase one's strength by several times. However, I heard that it also has great side effects. It is not used unless it is a life and death situation. Yes, this is a bloodline secret skill. After activating it, his whole body will have a part of the characteristics of the King Kong Demon Ape. His body is like King Kong, and his strength is infinite. He is much more terrifying than before. In order to finish the battle quickly and kill Xiaoping, he actually chose to activate his bloodline. This is too exaggerated. The onlookers all looked at Lu Chao. They felt that Lu Chao's aura was more than several times more terrifying than before. He was like a savage beast. Even the air seemed to distort in that instant. Demonic chi towered up to the heavens, forming a black mass. The rocks on the ground could not withstand the pressure and were crushed into powder. Boom! Lu Chao grabbed the staff with his right hand and infused all his spiritual chi into it. The surface of the staff was surrounded by a golden light. He immediately smashed it towards Xiaoping's head. Profound meaning of 36 staff shaking earth, shaking heaven and earth. When the staff smashed down, it was much more terrifying than before. It seemed that more than a dozen staff shadows instantly fused together, condensing into a huge staff mark. When the staff came down, it was like a 100 million ton mountain had smashed down with infinite power. It obviously hadn't hit the ground yet, but the whole street completely collapsed. In an instant, a terrifying crack appeared, stretching for several kilometers. So strong. And Xiaoping also felt the horror of this staff. Such pressure seemed to increase his body's gravity by more than 10 times. The air condensed, as if he had fallen into a swamp. Even if he wanted to move a step, it would take a lot of energy. Xiaoping, brat, if you want to defeat me, Lu Chao, then go back and train for a few years first. The current you is not qualified at all. Lu Chao shouted angrily. Like a roaring ape, he attacked without holding back. The rod crushed down, smashing ruthlessly onto Xiaoping's body, making it impossible for him to dodge. Dong! Xiaoping immediately flew out, unable to withstand such power. Even the air shield of Dark North body protection technique appeared slightly cracked at this moment. It seemed to exceed the limit that it could bear. His body was blown away like a piece of paper, smashing through more than a dozen buildings and flying for 2 to 3 kilometers. Finally, He smashed through the wall of a building and fell inside. Large amounts of rubble rolled down, as if the entire building could not withstand this force and was about to collapse. More than a dozen terrifying cracks appeared on the walls, as if the building had been split into more than a dozen sections. It's over. Xiaoping is completely finished. There's no way he's still alive after suffering this blow. Without a doubt, he was eliminated this time. He was defeated by Lu Chao. Got his eyes. Finally, someone has made him fail. This time, I want to see what he has to say. He dares to boast that he is invincible in the world. Let's see if he still has this face now. What a joke. In the live room, countless viewers are in an uproar, and some people are even gloating and comfortable because this bitch Xiaoping has finally been defeated and eliminated. For them, this is simply great news. They're waiting for the end of the qualifiers, how to laugh at this guy and see if his skin is so thick. Previously, they were annoyed by this bastard, and this time they must get back at him. Xiaoping, you want to fight me with a tramp like you? Die for me. Lu Chao roared. He jumped from a distance, crossed a kilometer in an instant, raised the big stick, and rushed towards the building. He wouldn't let Xiaoping off after gaining the upper hand, beating Xiaoping while he was down. He wanted to completely eliminate Xiaoping, not giving him any chance to make a comeback. Die my ass. A monkey want me to die. Why don't you go eat shit? Asterisk boom, asterisk, a sound burst out, and then a terrifying big hand reached out from the building, condensed into a solid, incomparably huge, like the giant golden hand of Buddha, every line on it clearly visible. With a bang, the palm hit Lu Chao's body hard. It was like the Buddha slapping Sun Wukong, sending him flying with just one move. Lu Chao couldn't help but let out a shrill scream. This tyrannical power suddenly cracked the skin of his body, and a large amount of blood came out. His whole body was like a worm, smashing hard on the ground, immediately blasting out a deep pit. Asterisk pa, asterisk in the smoke, a figure walked out of the gravel, stepping on the gravel, making a pa-pa sound. This person is obviously Xiaoping, a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. However, his spirit has never been better, and his aura is more than several times more terrifying than before. Every step he takes seems to shake the earth, and even the gravel is shaking. The air behind him is distorted, and it seems that a flame divine bird has appeared, crying. He looked at Lu Chao, looking at him indifferently. How is this possible? Lu Chao stood up from the pile of gravel, staring at Xiaoping. Why is the power in your body even more terrifying than before? How can you improve by leaps and bounds so quickly? Were you pretending to be weak before? He couldn't believe his eyes. Just now, this kid was beaten to the point where he couldn't fight back, but now he is a mess, slapping him away with one palm, and even almost injuring him. This is simply incredible. Whether his strength, speed, or genuine essence, compared to before, they're all on a different level. This is a huge improvement. No, you are not pretending to be weak, and your cultivation has broken through. Have you already advanced to the 7th stage of the Martial Master Realm? Lu Chao clenched his fists, his pupils constricted, and couldn't help but shout. The 7th stage of the Martial Master Realm? Hearing this, everyone watching the live broadcast was shocked and couldn't help but jump from their seats. Previously, Xiaoping was only in the 6th stage of the Martial Master Realm, but now he has advanced to the 7th stage of the Martial Master Realm. In other words, this kid has clearly broken through during the battle. No wonder this kid suddenly became stronger. One should know that the 7th stage of the Martial Master Realm and the 6th stage of the Martial Master Realm are only one stage apart, but the difference is like heaven and earth. Advancing to the 7th stage of the Martial Master Realm means stepping into the advanced stage of the Martial Master Realm and comprehending a trace of the true meaning of a Grandmaster. This kind of strength is much stronger than an intermediate martial master. Chapter 587. Oh my god, he actually broke through to LV7 Martial Master. That's insane. Someone in the live broadcast room immediately exclaimed. He was completely dumbfounded. Are you kidding me? This is breaking through at the last minute. How could he do such a thing? Is he trying to defy the heavens? Someone was dumbfounded. This was a world where everyone practiced martial arts. No one knew better than them how difficult it was to break through at the last minute. Even if an ordinary person were to meditate and cultivate quietly and painstakingly, it would take an unknown amount of effort to break through to the next realm. In an intense battle, one could be in danger at any time. It was impossible to comprehend the profoundness of martial arts and break through at the last minute. It was only a legend. But now Xiaoping had done it. When he was fighting with Lu Chao, he suddenly broke through to LV7 Martial Master, greatly increasing his strength. Monster! This guy is simply a monster. Are you kidding me? Breaking through at the last minute? Is he still human? This is ridiculous. How can this bastard break through as easily as eating and drinking? I had an uncle who was stuck at LV6 Martial Master for more than 10 years. But this guy broke through at the last minute. Why is there such a huge gap between us? This is unreasonable. So what if he has excellent talent? Breaking through at the last minute? How can ordinary people like us survive? No wonder he can get into Yanhuang University. His talent is too terrifying. Ordinary people can't compare to him at all. Everyone was shocked. This fact was too shocking. Breaking through at the last minute was something that only happened in legends. It actually happened in front of them, and it was even live broadcast. They felt that they might be witnessing a legend. At this moment, Xiaoping was standing on the same spot. He could feel the majestic, true qi flowing in his body. 73 meridians were like 73 great rivers, rumbling. After breaking through to LV7 Martial Master, the true qi in his body had become much stronger. Even an expert at the peak of LV9 Martial Master would not be able to compete with him. At the same time, he had also refined 2 or 3 infernal golden crow cells. His strength, speed, and other physical qualities were twice as strong as before. What was even more shocking was his left eye, the infernal golden crow's eye. Due to this breakthrough, Zhang Xian had assimilated quite a few infernal golden crow cells, and his left eye had finally stabilized. With just a slight activation of the eye, he was able to see a distance of more than 10 kilometers with incredible clarity. Furthermore, his dynamic vision had become more than 100 times stronger. He now had the ability to see through things, predict his opponent's movements, and so on. It could be said that he wasn't the slightest bit inferior to Nie Zhan, who possessed the three-eyed wolf bloodline. How did you die? Hearing these words, Lu Chao burst into laughter. He stared at Xiaoping and said, "You're only at the 7th layer Martial Master realm, and you're already thinking of turning the world upside down? Do you know my current Martial Dao realm? 9th grade Martial Master. I reached the peak of Martial Master long ago. I have opened 108 meridians in all 100 meridians. My quintessence is endless. I'm just a step away from advancing to Grandmaster. You're just a weakling who has just reached the 7th layer Martial Master realm. How dare you ask me how you want to die? You're too arrogant." He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Although he was shocked by Xiaoping's breakthrough, he was only shocked. He did not think that he would definitely lose. Even if Zhang Xian had reached the 7th layer Martial Master realm, he would still be able to suppress him in terms of Martial Dao realm cultivation. The gap between them had only shrunk slightly. It was impossible for Zhang Xian to defeat him with such a small gap. However, Zhang Xian had become extremely arrogant after reaching the 7th layer Martial Master realm. He even dared to ask him, a peak Martial Master realm expert, how he wanted to die. What a joke. He had seen many people at the 7th layer Martial Master realm and killed many of them, but he had never seen anyone with 3 heads and 6 arms. I can tell you this. Even if you've reached the 7th layer Martial Master realm, you're just an ant that's slightly stronger. I can kill you with a single swing of my rod. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Chao's expression became extremely ferocious. With a whoosh, he instantly made his move. Like a fleeing rabbit, he instantly left his original spot and crossed several kilometers. His speed had broken through the sound barrier. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived beside Xiaoping and swung his rod in the air. The strength of the 9th layer Martial Master realm was instantly unleashed, which was much more terrifying than before. Too slow. Xiaoping stood on the spot calmly. His body emitted the aura of a martial master. His left eye immediately emitted a ball of flame, which rotated slowly like a swastika rune. Under the observation of the golden crow's eyes of hell, Lu Chao's movements could not be hidden. He could even see the angle, trajectory, force, and changes of his attacks clearly. Everything was under the control of his left eye. Bang! Xiaoping stretched out his hand and grabbed Lu Chao's right hand with great precision, like an eagle catching a chick. He grabbed Lu Chao's right hand, which was wielding the giant metal stick. Following a loud bang, the two hands collided with each other, resulting in a shocking explosion. The shock wave swept across the place, causing a tall building in the distance to collapse. The ground where Xiaoping was standing instantly formed a deep pit full of cracks. However, he did not move an inch, like an iron tower, and calmly stared at Lu Chao. What? Lu Chao was extremely shocked. His swift attack had been easily blocked by this kid. It was as if his every move was clearly seen by his opponent, and there was nowhere for him to hide. Furthermore, his opponent's hand was like a pincer grabbing his right hand tightly. A huge force surged, as if it was going to crush the bones in his hand into pieces. Oh no! Before Lu Chao could think of a way to escape, Xiaoping reached out with his left hand and gently swung his palm. King level superior grade, martial skill, slap palm. Bang! The palm landed squarely on Lu Chao's abdomen. It's useless. I have an indestructible body. Even a beginner martial master can't destroy it. What can your palm do to me? I have long been in an invincible position. You're no match for me. Lu Chao burst into laughter. But before he could finish laughing, Xiaoping's palm sent out two terrifying waves of energy. The first wave was incomparably ferocious and instantly shattered his golden energy barrier, causing it to crack inch by inch. The second force was extremely gentle. It penetrated his powerful body and attacked his internal organs. Boom! Immediately, Lu Chao could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His internal organs were instantly damaged. He let out a shrill scream and flew backward like a rubber ball, sliding along the ground for 2 to 3 kilometers. How is this possible? Lu Chao could not help but shout. Just one palm had torn his indestructible body apart. He had never heard of such a thing. What kind of palm technique was this? With a swoosh, before he could figure it out, he turned into a beam of white light and was eliminated. Chapter 588. Xiaoping stood where he was, carefully comprehending the mysteries of that palm. After advancing to the 7th heaven of martial master, his understanding of martial arts had greatly deepened. He had also pushed the realm of the clapless palm to a higher level and comprehended the second force. The first force was the firm force. The second force was the yin force. When the two forces superimposed, the power that erupted was simply exponential. It was like an instant explosion, penetrating layer by layer and destroying everything. Even an indestructible Vajra body would not be able to resist this move. Therefore, with just one palm, he killed Lu Chao. Lu Chao could not resist at all. No way. Lu Chao was eliminated. I must be dreaming. That kid actually sent Lu Chao flying with one palm and crippled him on the spot. Impossible. I must be dreaming. Who do you think Lu Chao is? He has the bloodline of the King Kong demon ape and has an indestructible Vajra body. Even a beginner grandmaster might not be able to hurt him. How could this kid cripple him? But Lu Chao has been eliminated with just one palm. Yes, this is not a dream. This is reality. What exactly is happening? What kind of move could actually break Lu Chao's indestructible Vajra body? I don't know. I don't understand at all. This is already beyond the scope of my understanding. The surrounding martial artists were all shocked. According to their estimates, there was no way that Xiaoping could survive this battle, even if he was not dead. Even if Lu Chao did not defeat Xiaoping, there was absolutely no reason for him to be eliminated. At most, he would have run away if he was defeated. But now, not only had Lu Chao lost and been eliminated, but he had also been crippled with one palm and his indestructible Vajra body had been broken. This scared them half to death and they did not know how to react. Whoosh! At this moment, Xiaoping moved and walked into the distance. The others were scared half to death and stepped back, thinking that this demon would continue to go crazy and eliminate them. However, there were too many people in this group. Right now, Xiaoping was not in the mood to chase after this group of people. Anyway, he had enough points, and there was still one day left. There was no need to continue killing. Most importantly, he had just advanced to the 7th layer Martial Master realm and needed to find a place to meditate and consolidate his cultivation base. Therefore, he was not in the mood to continue fighting with these people. Seeing Xiaoping's actions, the surrounding martial masters heaved a sigh of relief. As long as this killing god did not act rashly, they would be safe. They would not be eliminated for no reason. As for the rest, as long as they survived for a day, they would be able to break through to the qualifiers. In a live broadcast room, countless people saw that Xiaoping had personally defeated Lu Chao, which caused a huge shock. That was because Lu Chao was a popular candidate to become the champion of this competition. But now, in the preliminaries, he had been defeated and killed by an unknown person. His invincible Vajra body had been broken. This was a little terrifying. Instantly, this matter caused countless people to discuss it. What? Lu Chao was actually defeated in the preliminaries, and even his invincible Vajra body was broken? Xiaoping? Just who is this Xiaoping? How come I've never heard of him? Where did he come from? What did you say? This kid is a new student at Yanhuang University. It hasn't been long since he was promoted to an elite student. Are you kidding me? He's trying to defy the heavens. Defeating Lu Chao means that he has the strength to win the championship. This kid is a dark horse. Incredible. This is incredible. He's definitely a super newcomer, a monster that only appears once in 100 years. Many people in the audience heard this news, and they were all shocked. After all, the arena was too big. There were millions of people competing. Even if they could monitor the entire scene, most people would find people they were familiar with to watch. This time, Xiaoping was considered famous. His name began to spread in the cloud realm. Some ordinary people also began to recognize his name, and they knew that Yanhuang University had produced a monster. Soon, many elders of Yanhuang University also learned about this matter, and they were all dumbfounded. Xiaoping? Is it the kid who caused a lot of trouble at school? Some elders had heard of this name. This kid was very good at causing trouble, and every time he did, he would cause public anger. Who knew how many people in Yanhuang University wanted to beat him up? He had even cleaned up after this guy's mess and handled trouble for him. I remember that this kid just became an elite student not long ago, and now he can already defeat Lu Chao. Some elders were also dumbfounded. Although they had high expectations for Xiaoping and thought that he would definitely become a king in the future, they did not expect him to defeat Lu Chao, who was at the peak of the Martial Master realm. This guy was a bit too good. Yes, I saw the video. It seems that he broke Lu Chao's Vajra body with one palm. How fierce. An elder watched the video carefully, and he had also seen Xiaoping's strength. This kid is indeed not simple. He has cultivated a king-level unique skill to the Acme level, and he is invincible among his peers. No way. He broke Lu Chao's Vajra body with one palm? Impossible. Ordinary moves can't hurt Lu Chao at all. What kind of palm skill is this? Some people stared at the video, unable to understand. This is the clapless palm. A knowledgeable elder's eyes lit up, and he said in a low voice, "That is a peerless palm skill created by the invincible king Zhuang Chuanxiu. It is tyrannical and invincible." Impossible. I have seen the clapless palm before. It is not like this at all. Indeed, the clapless palm is merely a king-level low-grade martial skill created by Zhuang Chuanxiu. Moreover, it is extremely difficult to cultivate. Until now, no one has been able to successfully cultivate it. Even Zhuang Chuanxiu said that it is a failure. Looking at the video, this kind of power has surpassed king-level low-grade, and even reached king-level peerless. A few elders said in a low voice. Then there's only one reason. The elders said he has learned this martial skill, and he even improved and evolved it, raising it to the level of king-level peerless. The moment these words were said, everyone was shocked, because learning a king-level martial skill and creating a king-level martial skill moreover a king-level peerless, were two completely different concepts. If this guess was true, this Xiaoping was not as simple as a monster. Enough, there is no need to continue guessing. The one who spoke was Yinhuang University's vice principal Lu Shuwen. In any case, completely seal off this news. Announce to the outside world that he has learned the clapless palm, and it is a king-level peerless. As for other things, don't say anything. Let others guess. The other elders nodded. They also knew that this matter was extremely serious. If the Fiend race knew that a peerless monster had appeared in the human race, they would probably go crazy and kill him. At that time, even king-level assassins might appear. Based on Xia Ping's strength, if he encountered such an assassin, he would definitely die. Even if they would protect Xia Ping, there would still be a time when they would be careless, and there would always be a time when they would relax. Chapter 589. I didn't expect much from this kid. I only participated in this competition to gain experience. I didn't expect him to be this fierce. He even defeated Lu Chao. An elder from Yinhuang University smiled. He was obviously in a good mood. Yinhuang University didn't have much of an advantage this time, but now that Xia Ping had appeared out of nowhere and occupied one of the spots to enter the celestial demon battlefield, Yinhuang University would benefit greatly. Haha, Yinhuang University is going to be rich this time. It seems that the other universities are going to be scared out of their wits by recruiting such a monster. He just became an elite student not long ago, but he can even defeat a genius like Lu Chao. What will happen in the future? It's amazing now. He improved a low-grade king martial skill to a peerless king martial skill. His talent is terrifying. I think there will be a fierce battle in this genius competition. If it's a few years later, there will be no suspense. It's time for Yinhuang University to be the king. The other universities are all domineering, relying on their good luck to recruit a few descendants of king clans. Now that Xia Ping has appeared out of nowhere and slapped them in the face, I'm very happy. This kid must be heavily rewarded and continue to bring glory to Yinhuang University. Yes, we must reward him. Many elders were extremely happy. It was glory for Yinhuang University to have such a terrifying monster. It meant that they were still the highest educational institution of the human race. Moreover, with such talent, it was a certainty that he would become a king. If another invincible king appeared in Yinhuang University, their reputation in the entire sky realm would increase tremendously. Who knew how much benefit and prestige it would bring to Yinhuang University? Although Xia Ping had been mischievous recently and caused a lot of trouble, it was only a small problem for a king. It was just a small flaw and a small detail. It was nothing at all. This kid is the luck of Yinhuang University. Lu Shuwen stroked his white beard. His gaze was very amiable as he chuckled. He was also in a very good mood. The elders of the other universities also received the news and began to discuss it. Damn it, Yinhuang University really got lucky this time to actually recruit such a monster. I heard that he's a new student at Yinhuang University and has just been promoted to an elite student. This is a little too much. He has just become an elite student, and he already defeated Lu Chao, who is a peak martial master. What will happen in a few more years? Won't he be the king of the genius competition? Who would be his match then? Let's not talk about a few years in the future. Right now, he's already incredible. He's a hot favorite to win the championship. The move that broke Lu Chao's invincible Vajra body seems to be the clapless palm. Clapless palm? Wasn't it a useless martial skill created by Zhuang Chunxiu? It said that it's extremely difficult to cultivate, and so far, no one has succeeded in cultivating it. That's right. According to the news from Yinhuang University, this martial technique is a peerless king-grade martial technique. Its might is boundless. To think that this brat managed to successfully cultivate it. He is indeed a demonic genius. I'm afraid Yinhuang University is going to be in the limelight this time. I really can't accept this. Even if he defeats Lu Chao, it's impossible for him to win. Feng Qiudao, Bai Qingqing, and the local tyrant are all dragons and phoenixes among men. He is still far from being able to defeat those geniuses. That's true. He's still too young. The elders of many schools were also discussing this matter. They carefully watched the video of Xia Ping's battle and were all amazed. They all thought that another dark horse had appeared, a peerless monster. They were also glad that this brat was still young. Otherwise, there would be no suspense for him to win the championship. In the Cloud Realm, the major martial arts organizations also received the news that someone had defeated Lu Chao. Moreover, the other party was unknown and was a dark horse. This was a shocking event. Go and investigate immediately. Find out where this Xia Ping came from. He can even defeat Lu Chao. His talent and combat power are really terrifying. I heard that he is only at the 7th sky of the Martial Master Realm, 2 levels below Lu Chao. This is even more shocking. If he reaches the peak of the Martial Master Realm, won't he be able to sweep away all his opponents? If we can invite this brat to our organization, he will definitely bring a king to our organization. We must pay any price to recruit him into our organization. The higher-ups of many martial arts organizations were extremely excited. They quickly asked their subordinates to quickly collect information about Xia Ping. They planned to pay a huge price to recruit Xia Ping. The intelligence network of these martial arts organizations was also amazing. Soon, they also received information about Xia Ping. Xia Ping, a new student of Yanwang University this year. He has just been promoted to an elite student. He is from planet Yanwang. TSK, amazing. He was actually born in planet Yanwang. His family is ordinary. This is even more terrifying. He is from an ordinary family, and yet he can crush the descendants of kings. How can this be? We must invite him. We must invite him immediately. Many people received the news. All of them were excited. They found that Xia Ping's potential was simply amazing. They couldn't wait to recruit Xia Ping as their own member. No, there is no hope. He is already an official member of the giant company. Someone said helplessly. What? He has been a member of the giant company for a long time? Damn it. Why are all the outstanding talents snatched away by them? There is no other way. They are giants. They cast their nets everywhere and always catch a lot of whales. Sigh, we can only give up. Let's find the next fish that escaped the net. He is a member of the giant company. We can't poach him at all. The other party will not accept the invitation. When a group of people heard this news, they were helpless. They were dejected and chose to give up. If they wanted to snatch people from the giant company, they must be tired of living. At this time, the higher-ups of the giant company and a group of kings also received the news. I didn't expect that we would actually recruit such an outstanding talent from planet Yanwang. Not bad at all. He is worthy of our company to focus on training him and invest more resources. According to this kid's cultivation speed, it will be very fast for him to become an elite master. Indeed, it is still too stingy to give resources to a martial master. If we want to give, we should give resources to an elite master. When he becomes an elite master, we will immediately give him a big gift. If this kid can become a king, the strength of our giant company will definitely increase. At that time, let's see how the other 2 major companies can compete with our company. In the future, the giant company will be the strongest. We will dominate the world. Chapter 590. Dang, suddenly, the entire Sun-Moon city reverberated with the crisp sound of a bell. It traveled into the ears of every single person in the city, and even the competitors could hear it clearly. The qualifiers have ended. Immediately, a mechanical voice rang out, reverberating in the sky above Sun-Moon City. It's over. That's great. It's finally over. 7 days of darkness. It's really too cruel. This time, I will definitely make it through the qualifiers. The participants who were still alive in Sun-Moon City were all overjoyed. The end of the qualifiers meant that they did not need to continue fighting, nor did they need to worry about being killed by their enemies. Is it over? Xia Ping stayed in a remote building, sitting cross-legged and stabilizing the true origin in his body. He continuously comprehended the true origin of the 7th heaven of Martial Master. After a few hours of cultivation, he could be considered to have grasped the explosive increase in his strength and true origin. Boom! At this moment, a ball of energy instantly enveloped Xia Ping's body. What's going on? Before Xiaoping could figure out what was happening, he was teleported to a huge square in the next second. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. It was not only him. From time to time, balls of light appeared in the square, followed by figures appearing in this place. They seemed to be elite students. Most of these students were unkempt and covered in blood. They looked like beggars. Even so, each of them emitted a valiant aura. They were wary of their surroundings like ferocious beasts, as if they would immediately attack if anyone dared to act rashly. Congratulations, everyone. You are all elites who have passed the qualifiers. With a slap, a virtual projection appeared in the sky. Immediately, an old man in white appeared in front of everyone. Many people immediately recognized that this was Sun Moon City's city lord, Ho Hanyang, an invincible king. Past the qualifiers? Hearing this, everyone present was overjoyed. They were not fools. Naturally, they knew that they had appeared in this place because they had passed the qualifiers. As for those who did not appear in this square, they had all been eliminated. As for the points from the preliminaries, as well as the rankings this time around, they will all be sent to your communication devices. You can check them at any time, Sun Moon City, Lord Ho Hanyang said. Hearing this, many people took out their communicators and clicked on it. Immediately, a virtual screen popped up. There was a ranking board on it. It was the ranking board of the qualifiers. Everyone's points were listed on it, from the highest to the lowest. There were tens of thousands of people. Many people saw Xiaoping, the first place in the preliminaries, with 10,873 points. What? Someone immediately shouted and turned pale. What is the background of this Xiaoping? He actually had 10,873 points. Was he trying to defy the heavens? How many people did you kill? He had never heard of Xiaoping's name before. He did not know how he had appeared in the qualifiers. There was no doubt that he was a dark horse. After all, the difficulty of obtaining more than 10,000 points in the qualifiers, which were filled with experts, was no less than scaling the heavens. Second place goes to Feng Qiudao with 3,753 points. Third place is by Qingqing with 3,598 points. A lot of people saw the rankings, but they were all shocked because they found that the difference in points between the first and second place was simply too big. My God, the publicly recognized favorites were not first in the qualifiers. Instead, it was an unknown person who took first place. Could it be that Xiaoping is the favorite to win this time? Look, there's information on him. What the F*CK, seventh heaven of Martial Master. This kid is only at the seventh heaven of Martial Master, and he broke through during the qualifiers. It can't be. With such a cultivation level, he swept an entire division and obtained more than 10,000 points. Are all the people in that division retarded? How could they be flaunted like this by a junior? No. I checked the information. This kid even defeated Lu Chao. His strength is not to be underestimated. Even Lu Chao, who has the invincible Vajra body, was defeated? Are you kidding me? Are you sure it's not a rumor? Rumor my ass. There is a video on the internet. The evidence is conclusive. Many elite students were shocked. They would never have thought that such a dark horse would appear in the qualifiers and suppress Feng Qiudao and the other geniuses. Even Lu Chao was defeated. If it wasn't for the fact that Lu Chao had so many points, he would have been eliminated from the qualifiers. Feng Qiudao, Bai Qingqing, and the others also saw the rankings. They didn't care much about the rankings because it didn't represent their true strength. If they wanted to, they could obtain a large amount of points and sweep the entire division, but there was no need for that. The problem was that this kid had defeated Lu Chao, who had the invincible Vajra body. This was extraordinary. Lu Chao. Someone immediately noticed Lu Chao standing beside him. He immediately walked up and asked, I heard you were defeated by a junior named Xiaoping, who is only at the seventh heaven of Martial Master. Is this true? Tell me the truth. Did you go easy on him and take his money? He looked at Lu Chao curiously. The surrounding people also looked over and stared at Lu Chao. Take your ass. Lu Chao's face turned green. What kind of bullshit *T question was that? He was defeated by a junior at the seventh heaven of Martial Master and almost eliminated from the qualifiers. This was a very shameful thing. He didn't want to mention it at all. However, this guy was really touching his sore spot. Not only did he ask such a question, but he also questioned whether he had taken money. This was clearly a public slap to Lu Chao's face. After all, if he admitted to taking money, it would damage his reputation. It might even implicate his family and lead to a thorough investigation by the government. If he didn't admit to taking money, then he would lose even more face. It would mean that he was indeed defeated by a junior at the seventh heaven of martial master, and he couldn't even fight back. I have no comment. Lu Chao's face was very dark, and his attitude was very uncooperative. He didn't want to answer this kind of question at all. Lu Chao, say a few words. You won't die anyway. That's right. Tell me how you felt about being defeated by a junior. I wonder, when you were defeated by that junior, did you have the urge to die? We don't know what that feeling is. Can you describe it in detail? A group of elite students who wanted to see the world in chaos were deliberately mocking Lu Chao. These be asterisk cheese. Chapter 591. However, no matter how the people around him ridiculed and questioned him, Lu Chao remained silent. He stood on the ground like an enlightened monk, ignoring the people around him. He knew that the more he paid attention to these people, the more arrogant and smug they would be, and the more humiliated he would be. Therefore, the best thing to do now was to keep silent and not respond. Seeing the situation, the people around him gradually felt very bored. After all, it was very boring to tease a stone. Some people immediately thought of Xiaoping. If they could ask the person in question, they would definitely get a lot of inside information. Immediately, someone noticed Xiaoping standing in the middle of the square. Because Xiaoping's photo was on the information, the people around him found out what Xiaoping looked like after checking. Kid, are you Xiaoping? Someone saw Xiaoping next to him and asked suspiciously, look at the ranking. You actually got first place with more than 10,000 points with your cultivation of LV7 Martial Master. How'd you do it? He sized Xiaoping up. No matter how he looked at it, he did not expect this kid to be so fierce and kill so many experts. Yeah, no matter how I look at it, there's something fishy going on. Is the person behind you superhuman? There were also people who maliciously speculated that the person behind Xiaoping had used a great deal of connections. That was why Lu Chao deliberately failed and gave a large number of points to Xiaoping so that he could successfully pass the preliminaries. This was not impossible. Similar things had happened in the previous few competitions of geniuses, but they were all discovered and dealt with harshly with lifetime bans. Until now, no one dared to do such a stupid thing. After all, once this kind of thing was exposed, their reputation would be ruined. It's none of your business, a bunch of illiterates. Xiaoping gave them a sidelong glance. He did not have a good tone at all. What are you talking about? Who are you calling illiterates? In terms of age, we are older than you. Why don't you know any manners? Don't you know what respect is? Someone was very dissatisfied, feeling that this kid's tone was too harsh. The people around were also surprised. They had only said a few words, but this guy was like a barrel of dynamite, exploding at the slightest touch. Lu Chao and the others had strange expressions, but they did not say anything. Because they were in the same competition zone as Xiaoping, they naturally knew that this guy had a bad temper, the kind that would beat people up if they did not agree with him. Now, this group of people had actually foolishly provoked this kid. How could they possibly gain anything from this? Moreover, this group of bastards had mocked and ridiculed him just now, treating him as a joke. This was a huge grudge, and Lu Chao was more than happy to see this group of people get snubbed. Respect my ass, Xiaoping said disdainfully. You already said that the person behind me has 3 heads and 6 arms, and that he is omnipotent. So what if I scold you guys a little? Some people are just itching for a beating. Do you believe that I will help your parents educate you and let you understand the principles of life? What? They were furious. They had never seen such an arrogant junior before. He actually dared to mock them in front of so many people, saying that they were itching for a beating, looking down on them. He even wanted to help their parents educate them and help them understand the principles of life. What did this brat think he was? Even their grandfather wouldn't dare to say such words. They couldn't stand this kind of vexation at all. They couldn't tolerate this kid for even a second. Of course, I'm not targeting you. Before these people could speak, Xiaoping waved his hand and said, I'm only targeting everyone here. To be honest, in my eyes, you are all trash. Even though Lu Chao and the others knew that Xiaoping was extremely arrogant and looked down on everyone, they didn't expect him to be this arrogant. He directly said that everyone present was trash, and he did it in front of everyone. They were all dumbfounded. However, while Lu Chao and the others were dumbfounded, the others exploded. Xiaoping, an elite student, immediately flew into a rage and glared at Xiaoping. You're a little too arrogant. Don't think that you can give orders here, just because you passed the preliminaries and obtained the first place. Everyone here is an expert above the 8th heaven of martial arts. All of them are your seniors. It's fine if you don't respect us, but you actually dare to call us trash. What a scandal. Don't you know that this is a big crime? Kneel down and apologize immediately, or you will have to bear the consequences today. He clenched his fists tightly, and his nose seemed to be smoking. So what if you're a senior? You could take advantage of your seniority just because you're old? You still want to put on airs in front of me? Are you qualified? Xiaoping said disdainfully. The person behind me has 3 heads and 6 arms. He is omnipotent. Do you believe that one word from him will make it impossible for you to stay in the cloud realm? You will be deserted, and your families will be exterminated. Everyone gritted their teeth. Not only was this bastard arrogant, but he also wanted to bully others. Even among the descendants of the sovereign families, there were not many people as arrogant as him. Lu Chao and the others had a strange look on their faces. If they hadn't checked Xiaoping's information just now and found out that he was just a commoner, they might have really been fooled by him and thought that he had some great background to be so unscrupulous. You what? Xiaoping said lazily. I said that you are trash, and you still don't want to admit it. Now I'll tie my hands. If you can beat me back one step, I'll take your surname. If you can't beat me back, you'll recognize me as your father. He waved his hand and let the group of people come up. Percent and yen hashtag. Damn it, kill him. Kill him now. I can't stand him for even a second. It's too infuriating. My big knife can't stand it anymore. I want to chop him into a dozen pieces. I hope everyone won't stop me. Stop my ass. I'm boiling water here. I'll cook him later. The group of elite students' faces turned red. If it was within their tolerance range before, they could not stand such provocation at all. Immediately, someone wanted to attack and teach Xiaoping a lesson. Boom! However, just as they were about to attack, a force suddenly descended from all directions. It was like a huge mountain crushing down on their bodies. Immediately, the group of people vomited blood and lay on the ground just like that. Warning: no private fights are allowed in the plaza. Repeat offenders will be expelled from Sun Moon City. A mechanical voice rang out and spread to the ears of all the elite students present. Immediately, everyone suddenly remembered that this was not a place where they could behave atrociously. It was Sun Moon City. The entire city was under strict surveillance. Any private fights would be stopped. Even the first person to attack would be severely punished. They were so angry that they did not think of this. What's wrong? Hit me. If you have the guts, come and hit me now. I'll tie my hands and wait for you to come. Why don't you have the guts now? Are you girls? Don't you have any little tricks? Xiaoping shouted. B*TCH. Chapter 592. Bitch. Despicable person. You know that fights are not allowed here. That's why you said that. You cowardly bandit. Just you wait. I'll deal with you sooner or later. The group of people gritted their teeth. They wanted nothing more than to pounce on Xiaoping and bite him to death. However, the rules of Sun Moon City prevented them from doing anything. They could only stand where they were. However, all of them clenched their fists tightly, and their faces were flushed red. What are you shouting for? If you don't dare to come over, call me father, Xiaoping said lazily. Bastard. The group of elite students wanted to tear this brat to pieces. They had never seen such a bastard in their lives. He was so evil that he was oozing pus from head to toe. It was as if all the flaws in the world were gathered on him. Scum and scum. These 4 words seemed to have been specially created for this brat. Top quality. Feng Qidao and the rest were speechless. They never thought that this dark horse would be like this. He did not feel mysterious at all. Instead, he was like a despicable person who stirred up trouble everywhere. It was as if every word he said made them angry from the bottom of their hearts. They wanted nothing more than to beat him up. He's finally starting to harm people from other schools. The group of elite students from Yinhuang University was also among them. Their mouths twitched. They already knew that this brat was not a law-abiding person. However, they didn't think that he would dare to act like this in such an important occasion like the Genius Tournament. Just how many enemies does this bastard want to provoke before he gives up? Lu Chao and the rest were also gritting their teeth. Although they already knew that this brat was crazy and liked to make enemies out of everyone in the world, this kind of craziness was still beyond their imagination. Boom! At this moment, Ho Hanyang, the Sun Moon City Lord, did not seem to notice the chaos below. Or perhaps he noticed it, but he did not care at all. To such a person, the disputes of a younger generation were just fleeting clouds. He spoke again. Congratulations on entering the second round of the tournament. The second round will be an elimination round. The winner will be determined in one round. The order of your duels will be randomly assigned by the computer. Only those who win all their matches will be crowned champion. The second round will begin tomorrow morning. You can all rest today. Sun Moon City has already prepared your resting rooms. Furthermore, there are also nutrient fluids that can help you recover from your injuries. Good luck, everyone. After saying this, the virtual projection in the sky disappeared. If I meet you in the elimination round tomorrow, I will definitely kill you. An elite student stepped forward and glared at Xia Ping, his killing intent surging. This time, he was truly infuriated by this brat. He swore that if he met Xia Ping in the elimination rounds, he would definitely kill this brat. Brat, you better pray that you don't run into us. Otherwise, you'll definitely die. Just you wait. Once you meet me, I guarantee that all the bones in your body will be broken. Your mouth is very despicable. I will tear it to pieces so that you will never be able to speak again in this lifetime. The elite students came up one by one, glaring at Xia Ping fiercely. They knew that they couldn't touch Xia Ping now, so they could only curse at him to teach him a lesson. The hearts of Lu Chao and the others trembled. Being targeted by so many powerful enemies, even a monstrous genius would be frightened and unable to eat or sleep in peace. Now, they felt a little pity for Xia Ping. If they were in their shoes, they would probably be trembling in fear and unable to speak. Xia Ping cast a sidelong glance and said disdainfully, "A bunch of trashes, I'll wait for you to bite me." You. Everyone was going crazy, and their faces turned green. However, they couldn't do anything to him now. They could only glare at him and leave one by one, heading to the resting room prepared by the Sun Moon City to rest. Lu Chao and the others were speechless. Indeed, this bastard didn't deserve any sympathy. It was better to let someone beat him to death. Very quickly, a day passed, and it was the morning of the second day. After a day of rest, Xia Ping felt refreshed. His fatigue and injuries had completely recovered. The high-grade nutrient fluid prepared by the Sun Moon City was very outstanding. Even for martial masters, it was very beneficial. It could quickly recover from injuries. If it was sold outside, it would probably be worth a lot. However, now, they could use it as they pleased. This was also a kind of benefit for them after they passed the preliminaries. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment, the entire Sun Moon City resounded with the crisp sound of a bell. It was like the morning bell and evening drum. It was crisp and pleasing to the ears of everyone in the Sun Moon City. The competition is about to start. Hearing this sound, Xia Ping immediately knew that it was the start of the competition. The participants were notified to hurry to the venue. If they were late, they would be automatically disqualified. It's finally the elimination round. I must get a good result this time. I heard that the champion of the Genius competition will be rewarded handsomely. I wonder what it will be. There's no need to think about it. I'll be satisfied if I can enter the top 100. Let's go. If we are late, we will be automatically disqualified. Right, let's go. At this moment, the elite students immediately set off and walked towards a plaza in the center of the Sun Moon City. Xia Ping also followed the crowd to the center of the Sun Moon City. We're here. After 10 minutes, Xia Ping arrived at the center of the Sun Moon City. He looked around. The center of the Sun Moon City was a battleground called the Beast Battle Arena. The oval plaza was extremely wide, and it was no different from an ordinary beast battle arena. On the viewing platform, there were densely packed chairs that could accommodate at least a few 100,000 people. At this moment, the audience was walking in from the passageways. They were densely packed like ants. So many experts. Xiaoping's pupils constricted. He could feel the aura of the audience. All of them were unfathomable. Some of them were actually master-level martial artists, while most of them were martial masters. Moreover, this group of people were all battle-hardened. They were like the kings of wolves. They were all true experts. These audience members were basically combat experts who stayed in the Sun Moon City. Because of the genius competition, they had all stopped cultivating and came here to watch the competition. After all, even though they were combat experts, watching the battles of the geniuses was still very beneficial to them. However, the most terrifying of them all was the VIP room on the viewing platform. Xiaoping turned around, and his eyes shone brightly. He could feel a terrifying aura descending from the sky. Like meteors, they all entered the VIP room. Even a master-level martial artist could only sit in the ordinary seats. Clearly, those who could enter the VIP room were all big shots. Each of them was a terrifying king-level martial artist. They were the supreme beings who stood at the peak of the human race. This was because these kings had also arrived for the genius competition. Chapter 593. Xiaoping stood on the square and suddenly felt two solid gazes from the audience. He turned around and looked up and immediately saw two figures appearing in a corner of the audience. They were Qiushu and Sumei. Originally, his position was far away from the stands, but he was promoted to the 7th level of the martial master. In the hell golden crow's eye in his left, I was completely condensed. Even if he was more than 10 kilometers away, he could still see clearly. Therefore, he immediately saw the figures of Qiushu and Sumei, and they also appeared in the audience. What? Qiushu was shocked. The two of us seemed to have been discovered by that kid. She was keenly aware of the gaze cast from a distance, and felt that Xiaoping might have discovered her and Sumei. How was that possible? Sumei sneered. There are at least hundreds of thousands of spectators in the audience, and they are so far away. Even a grandmaster can't find a few specific people in front of so many people. You must have an illusion. She didn't think that Xiaoping had this kind of ability. Maybe. Qiushu also shook her head, and suddenly thought that it might be an illusion. But I didn't expect him to really break through the qualifiers and even rank first in points. When she saw this news before, she also felt extremely shocked. Originally, this kid was just an unknown kid on Yanhuang Star, and it was unknown if he could even be admitted to a university. But now, he was actually promoted to an elite student and appeared in the genius battle. He even competed with many geniuses. Such a change was simply incredible. Even if she exhausted her imagination, she didn't expect Xiaoping to have such a change. This little brat does have some ability. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been punished by the school and grounded for a month. I'll have to settle this score with him. Sumei gritted her teeth. She had always been the only one who made men suffer, and she had never been taken advantage of by a man. She didn't expect that she would suffer such a big loss last time. It's all because of you. You deliberately made trouble here, otherwise we wouldn't have been grounded by the school for so long. Thinking of this, Qiushu also looked at Sumei angrily. In her eyes, this matter was all Sumei's fault. Qiushu, you're actually speaking up for that gigolo. Don't tell me that you really like him. Didn't you say that you were just fooling around? Sumei's beautiful eyes widened. Don't talk nonsense here. Qiushu wished that she could tear this woman's mouth apart. What did she mean by just playing around? Did she think that she was some loose woman? Moreover, she had nothing to do with that kid at all. No way. Qiushu, when did you have a man? Just for fun? Could it be that you've also awakened that kind of need? Could that man be the rumored freshman Xiaoping? I thought it was a joke. Isn't this like an old cow eating young grass? How did you do this? The people sitting around Qiushu and Sumei were basically the core students of various universities. They were experts at the grandmaster level. The relationship between them was not shallow. It could be said that they had known each other for many years. They all looked at Qiuxiu in astonishment and were extremely curious about this shocking gossip. Humph. The one who spoke was a woman in yellow. She sneered and said, "What a joke. You usually pretend to be a white lotus and look like an ice goddess. I didn't expect that you're actually a loose woman. You can even do this to a little boy and keep it gigolo. You don't know how ridiculous you are behind the scenes. If those men who admire you find out, I wonder what they would think." Her name was Dao Bailon. She had a grudge against Qiuxiu. She used to like a man, but he liked Qiuxiu and rejected her pursuit. As a result, she hated Qiuxiu. If there was a chance, she would constantly find trouble with her. Hearing this, Qiuxiu cast a sidelong glance. "What's the big deal about keeping a gigolo? I'm just afraid that even if some people take off their clothes and throw themselves at him, no man will want them. This is called a 10,000-year-old ant." Her words were also filled with anger. "Qiuxiu, what are you saying? Who said that even if someone takes off their clothes and throws themselves at him, no one will want them? Tell me immediately." Dao Bailon jumped up and glared at Qiuxiu. She wanted to tear her clothes apart. "I'll say whoever jumps the most." Qiuxiu gave a suggestion. "I feel that you're rather charming. It's just that a certain part is a bit small, like an airport runway. Why don't you go get a breast implant? Perhaps there will be many men with a fresh and unique style who like you." Sume blinked. She didn't think that after Qiuxiu was angered, she would actually be so vicious. Who didn't know that what Dao Bailon cared about the most was her own figure? This was practically a taboo. But now, Qiuxiu brazenly brought it up. She was clearly poking at the other's sore spot. "Qiuxiu." Dao Bailon was driven mad. This scoundrel woman was clearly making a personal attack. Just because she was beautiful and had a good figure, she was unbridled. Although her figure wasn't good, it definitely wasn't an airport runway. In any case, there were still bulges. Why would she need plastic surgery? She wanted to rush up and have a big battle with Qiuxiu. However, she was immediately restrained by others. This was because this place didn't allow private fights. Otherwise, they would be expelled from Sun Moon City. Finally, she calmed down and took a deep breath. She could be considered to have suppressed the anger in her heart. I want to see just how far that little boyfriend of yours can go. Maybe he'll be eliminated in the first round." She cursed fiercely. Qiuxiu was extremely speechless. Although Xiao Ping wasn't her boyfriend, he was provoked to this extent by Dao Bailon. She wouldn't go out of her way to explain. And these words were also heard by the surrounding male corps students. All of their expressions were extremely unsightly. This was because Qiuxiu's charm was just too great. She could be called a goddess. Who knew how many admirers she had? There were even many king-level clans that had come to propose marriage. After all, not only was Qiuxiu exceptionally beautiful, she was also a martial Dao genius. It was estimated that after a period of time, she would advance to the king realm. Her strength would greatly increase. In other words, whoever married Qiuxiu would obtain a future king. This would greatly increase the clan's power. How could these clans not be envious? Unfortunately, up until now, no clan had succeeded. But now, there was actually news that Qiuxiu might have kept a little boyfriend. This made them incomparably mad. This ruined the plans of many king-level clans. It caused many people to be furious. Go and investigate. What background does this Xia Ping have? He even dares to touch Qiuxiu. He's courting death. A bastard from who knows where dares to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. He doesn't want his life. Chapter 594. Clang. All of a sudden, the crisp sound of a bell reverberated throughout the entire arena. At the same time, a voice came from the sky. The elimination round will officially begin in 30 seconds. Participants, please get ready. Boom. Immediately, the energy in the entire arena distorted and transformed into 5,000 arenas. The participants standing in the arena were also surrounded by balls of energy and transported to the arenas. Because this was a random round, no one knew who their opponent would be before it began. Whoosh! The next second, Xiao Ping felt his vision darken. He immediately appeared in the middle of an arena. The surroundings were very wide, as if he were in a martial arts arena. Then, a ball of energy appeared in front of him. Soon, a young man in blue clothes, 8 meters tall, held a long sword in his hand, and stood as straight as a pole. There was no doubt that this man in blue was Xiaoping's opponent in the first round of elimination. Aries College, Jia. The man in blue introduced himself. When he saw Xiaoping, he was obviously stunned for a moment, but he quickly laughed out loud. Haha, justice has long arms, but nothing escapes. I didn't expect to meet you in the first round. Looks like you don't need to fight anymore. You'll be directly eliminated. I advise you to quickly kneel down and admit defeat. Otherwise, if we really fight, you won't look good. He had absolute confidence because he was a peak expert at the 9th level of the martial master realm, a true master of swordsmanship. Although he also knew that Xiaoping had defeated Lu Chao, in his eyes, Lu Chao was just famous. He relied on his invincible Vajra body to run rampant. If they really fought, Lu Chao's martial arts might not be comparable to Jia Jijia's. Xiaoping is really unlucky. I didn't expect to meet Jia Jijia in the first round. In a live broadcast room, someone immediately noticed Xiaoping's opponent and immediately exclaimed, "What's going on? What's Jia Jijia's background?" Many people immediately asked. One had to know that Xiaoping was an expert who could even defeat Lu Chao. Ordinary 9th level martial masters were no match for him. Even if this man in blue was a master of swordsmanship at the 9th level of the martial master realm, he might not be a match for Xiaoping. Don't be fooled by Jia Jijia's obscurity. In fact, he's one of Sword King Yang Tahai's last disciples. He's proficient in the high-grade King Tier 9 wave sword art. Someone knew Jia Jijia like the back of his hand. He spoke with fervor and assurance, saying that Jia Jijia's strength was extraordinary. He had received the legacy of the Sword King, Yang Tahai, entered the sect for 10 years, and his swordsmanship was godlike. His strength was definitely not inferior to a heaven's chosen like Lu Chao. The reason why Jia Jijia wasn't famous right now was because Jia Jijia was very low-key. Furthermore, he had just finished his apprenticeship and didn't have any battle achievements to prove his strength. So that's how it is. Looks like this Jia Jijia has quite the background. He's actually a king-tier disciple? That's a little terrifying. Indeed, there are many descendants of ordinary king-level clans, and they might not even be able to see king-level clans a few times in a year. However, after becoming a king-level disciple, one would be able to see king-level clans all the time and receive guidance. The speed at which one's cultivation improves is unimaginable. The Sword King Yang Tahai's strength is extremely terrifying. I remember the last war between the human race and the demon race. He alone and his sword rolled over 3,000 miles, killing countless demons. In the end, he battled with the Sea Demon King for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, he killed the Sea Demon King with a single slash. This sword chi even split a 1,000-meter-tall mountain in half. I've also heard of this legend. It's said that the mountain has already been named the Sword Edge Mountain and has become a historical site. Many people form groups to tour that place. It's said that some sword Dao experts also go to that mountain and constantly observe the sword scars left behind on the mountain. Some people benefit greatly and even become master-level experts because of this. Jia Jijia's talent in Sword Dao can be imagined to be taken in as the last disciple of such a king tier. Many spectators were filled with deep veneration. Even if Jia Jijia's name wasn't famous right now, everyone knew that as the last disciple of the Sword King Yang Tahai, it was only a matter of time before he became famous. This tournament of geniuses was probably the best opportunity for Jia Jijia to make a name for himself. Haha, you're so unlucky to encounter the last disciple of the Sword King Yang Tahai. Looks like you're done for, pretty boy. You can't even pass the first round. Dao Bailon laughed at Xioshu from the spectator stands. Xioshu didn't say anything and just watched quietly. However, she also knew of the Sword King Yang Tahai's reputation. He was indeed a king of the Sword Dao with tyrannical strength and unparalleled killing power. Even among the many kings, his battle strength was first-rate. As the disciple of such a king, Jia Jijia's strength and talent could be imagined. It could be said that there were many such geniuses in the tournament, and Xiaoping wasn't the only dark horse. You're young, but you talk big, Xiao Ping said disdainfully. Don't say I'm bullying you. This time, I'll only use one hand. Of course, don't feel like you're being insulted. After all, using one hand to deal with a nobody like you is showing you respect. What? Hearing this, Jia Jijia's face turned red, and he glared at Xiao Ping. He had never seen such an arrogant opponent in his life. Fighting with an expert of his level, he actually planned to use one hand. Although he wasn't famous at the moment and was just a nobody, he was the disciple of a king, and his swordsmanship was godly. How can an ordinary warrior compare to him? The corners of the spectators' mouths twitched. Although they were already used to this kid's arrogance, seeing such a familiar scene still made them feel resentful. They felt that this kid was too arrogant. Good, very good. I like to see how you're going to beat me with one hand. Jia Jijia was so angry that he started laughing. He couldn't suppress it at all. The moment the match began, he immediately made his move. With a clang, he pulled out a 3-foot-long sword. Boom! In an instant, his whole person disappeared into thin air, as if he had escaped into the depths of another dimension. The entire space was filled with a white sword light. It was like the sun, emitting an incomparably dazzling light. This sword was upright and upright. All the power was condensed together, without any leakage. At the same time, the entire air produced a terrifying wave. The air was vibrating tens of thousands of times. It was as if the earth was trembling with this sword, causing a magnitude 7 or 8 earthquake. Layers of waves surged out, stacking on top of each other. It was a king-level, high-grade sword technique, 9-wave sword. What a powerful sword technique! A grandmaster who was proficient in swordsmanship jumped up immediately. He couldn't help but be shocked. Even he couldn't use this sword technique. This kind of power was enough to sweep away opponents at the martial master level. Technique nearing doctrine. Chapter 595. Too strong. This is the king's disciple. Many people were dumbfounded. Everyone present was a martial arts master, and many of them were grandmasters. Their martial arts vision was high, and all of them were well trained. But they were all shocked by Jia Jijia's sword. As the saying goes, when an expert makes a move, you will know whether there is one or not. Although Jia Jijia was unknown before and no one knew him, this sword alone was enough to promote him to the ranks of monstrous geniuses, comparable to Lu Chao and the others. This kid is done for. It's impossible for him to block such a marvelous strike. Some sword masters immediately came to the conclusion that Xiao Ping was dead for sure. Because this 9-wave sword was extremely terrifying, once used, it produced a terrible wave, like a wave layer by layer, the more terrifying the power. Such power, it was estimated that even Lu Chao, who had the body of Vajra, might not be able to resist. And Xiao Ping was too arrogant. He actually let Jia Jijia attack, and had lost the best opportunity to dodge. In the face of these layers of sword chi fluctuations, this kid had nowhere to escape, and soon he would be seriously injured, directly swept out, and completely eliminated. But at this moment, when Jia Jijia's sword chi was at its strongest, at its peak, Xiao Ping attacked. He took a step forward, like an ancient barbaric elephant trampling the earth. The whole earth trembled. He raised one hand, operated the qigong in his body, and rumbled. Dark North Body Protection Technique. Xiao Ping's body immediately set up an air shield, and the true essence in the depths of his body revolved, as if there was a Kuan Peng hidden in the depths of his body. The air shield quickly surrounded his body, like a sphere, and quickly expanded outwards. These air shields also appeared thousands of layers, layer by layer stacked outside the sphere, condensing into a transparent sphere, and then slowly rotating like a planet, containing an unfathomable aura. Go to hell! There was a loud shout in midair, and with a hateful blow, the terrible 9-wave sword stabbed over, penetrating the air, and fiercely bombarded Xiao Ping's defensive air shield. Bang, bang, bang! Immediately, a series of air explosions occurred in midair, and Jia Jijia's figure also appeared in front of Xiao Ping. He held the 3-foot green peak in his right hand and stabbed it fiercely towards the air shield. He circulated the true essence in his body and increased his strength in an attempt to pierce through this energy shield. However, when his sword chi pierced through over 100 layers of energy shields, it was blocked by 108 layers of energy shields. The powerful waves of sword chi were weakened layer by layer, as if they had struck cotton. Xiaoping, on the other hand, was still standing in the same place, not moving an inch. How is this possible? Jia was going crazy. His 9-wave sword was unparalleled in the world, and could be said to be the #1 killing sword technique. Its destructive power was terrifying, and he was confident that even the invincible Vajra body might not be able to withstand it. But now, Yangqi was simply standing in place, drawing on his defensive energy art to defend against his 9-fold wave swords. In fact, he wasn't even hurt. He simply could not accept such a ridiculous thing. That's all you got? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He could feel that Jia's swordsmanship was extremely powerful, and it kept colliding with his defensive air barrier. In terms of attack power alone, Jia might even be stronger than Lu Chao. At the same time, because of Jia's assistance, he could continuously refine the medicinal potency in his body, activating his body's potential. He could feel a warm current surging out from the depths of his body, increasing his quintessence. For him, this was an unparalleled benefit. Therefore, he hoped that Jia would attack even more fiercely. That way, the effect of training would be even better. To be honest, don't be angry. I think it's a bit too much to hope that you can make a name for yourself in the tournament of geniuses with just this bit of swordsmanship. Why don't you go back and train for a few years before coming back? Xiaoping suggested that he go back and train. Train your ass. Jia was instantly enraged. Jia, have been practicing swordsmanship since I was 3 years old, and it's been more than 20 years since then. I train in the winter and in the summer, and I never slack off. Even when I'm sleeping or bathing, the long sword in my hand never leaves my body. You fucking wanted to go back and train? Why did he go and die? He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. No one knew how much effort he had put into practicing swordsmanship. It could be said that swordsmanship was his life, his everything. If his wife and sword were snatched away at the same time, he would definitely rush over to snatch the sword instead of his wife. But this kid actually dared to boast shamelessly and even asked him to go back and train. His words were clearly denying his 20 years of hard work. How could he tolerate such a thing? Boom! The 108,000 pores on his body erupted with a terrifying aura. It was as if sword-shaped sword chi was bursting out from his pores. His entire body had turned into a sharp sword, and the sword chi shot into the sky. F***CK. This kid has reached the realm of being one with the sword. What a freak. Immediately, a grandmaster of swordsmanship cursed. He was completely dumbfounded, because even though he had advanced to the grandmaster realm, he had not comprehended the realm of being one with the sword. At this realm, the man was the sword, and the sword was the man. The power would increase by more than several times. Without talent, it would be impossible to comprehend it in a lifetime. It could be said that Jia, who could comprehend the realm of being one with the sword, was definitely a genius in swordsmanship. 9-wave sword, triple wave. Jia roared, and the void trembled. He circulated the qigong in his body to the extreme, raising it to the peak. The sword just now was only triple wave. But now that he had advanced to triple wave, the power of the waves was more than 10 times stronger. This was almost the limit of the sword move that he could display now. Because to use triple wave, the burden on the body was too great. This kind of wave sword technique would first hurt the user, then hurt the opponent. If one did not have a strong physique, they would not be able to use it at all. Originally, his body could be tempered by his master, and he was considered strong among martial artists of the same generation. But to use triple wave sword was already his limit. In the instant that he used it, the skin all over his body burst open, and a large amount of blood seeped out, turning him into a bloody man. It was as if his body could not withstand this terrifying sword chi, and it was tearing his body apart. If Xiaoping had not completely angered him and caused him to lose his rationality, he would not have used this move. But in order to completely destroy this kid, Jia Jijia had already disregarded everything. At this moment, Jia Jijia attacked with hatred, and his sword stabbed towards Xiaoping. A dazzling, cold light flashed in the void, as if it was the only thing in the world. Bang, bang, bang. The sword chi of this sword was condensed to the extreme, like the waves of the sea, stacking layer by layer, and attacking with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. This force almost drowned Xiaoping. Chapter 596. Who won? The audience was watching the live broadcast anxiously. They all wanted to know who would win and who would lose. Whoosh! The yellow smoke in the sky dissipated, and immediately two figures appeared in front of everyone. Jia Jijia was holding a long sword, and his whole body was covered in blood. His right hand that was holding the sword was trembling slightly, and the tip of the sword was pressed against Xiaoping's chest. At this time, Xiaoping's defensive chi shield had collapsed inch by inch, and it completely disappeared. However, this sword stopped 3 inches before reaching Xiaoping's chest, and it had no way to get close to his body. Due to the terrifying power of the swordsmanship, the 3-foot green peak immediately shattered into a dozen pieces and fell to the ground, turning into scrap metal. Not bad at all. You are the first to pierce through my Qigong defense. To be honest, Xiaoping was also a little surprised by the power of Jia Jijia's sword. It was a little terrifying. If it was an ordinary warrior, even if they risked their life and carried out a suicidal attack, it would still be impossible to break through his defense. However, this sword of Jia Jijia's had pierced through his chi shield, although in the end, the other party did not hurt him. From this, it could be seen that the other party was very extraordinary. If he had not met him, he would probably be able to go further. Maybe this Jia Jijia was also one of the favorites to win the championship. Not bad. Hearing this, Jia Jijia collapsed, and his face was ferocious. He had used all his strength in this sword, and it was almost a peak attack, and even his body was seriously injured. It could be said that this attack was bound to succeed, but now it only pierced through the other party's chi shield, and did not even touch the other party's body. Not good at all. This was simply a blatant mockery of himself. Bang! At this time, Xiaoping felt the true essence in his body rapidly increase, and immediately a meridian was broken. Suddenly, his body's strength, speed, and true essence all increased a little. A warm current wandered around his body, constantly repairing the damaged cells, and made him feel extremely comfortable, as if he was soaking in a hot spring. Sure enough, this sword had benefited him a lot. What? You broke through? Sensing the change in Xiaoping's aura, Jia Jijia's eyes widened in disbelief. They were clearly still in the middle of a battle. So how could this fellow still break through? Yes, this is also thanks to you. If it weren't for that sword of yours, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to improve so quickly. Xiaoping sighed, feeling the increase in his power. He felt that he was growing stronger with every passing moment. As his true essence wandered, it was as if there were 7 flood dragons swimming in his meridians, rumbling and rumbling. You still have to be grateful to me? Grateful, my ass. Why don't you hurry up and die? Jia Jijia's face turned green. He didn't want Xiaoping to thank him at all. It could be said that he wished for nothing more than to chop Xiaoping into a dozen pieces. Seeing this situation, he was completely dumbfounded. Not only did his sword not cause any harm to this brat, but it even helped him to break through. Was there any justice in this world? His master had never taught him such a thing. Why was it that the incomparably murderous 9-layer wave sword, when cultivated to a high level, could even hack a demon king to death? But against this brat, it actually helped him cultivate? Since when did the 9-layer wave sword have such an ability? That's right. Can you use another sword? For example, the 4-layer wave sword. Of course, I guarantee that I will stand here without moving. Let's see if he can break through my defense. Xiaoping had tasted the sweetness and felt that this brat was a good sparring partner. After all, ordinary martial masters were unable to cause any harm to him. Only Jia Jijia had the ability to do so. This was a rare sparring partner, and he didn't even need money. Another sword strike? Hearing this, Jia Jijia's lungs were about to explode. This was the most stifling thing he had ever heard. The three-layer wave sword was already his limit. In order to use this sword strike, he had already exhausted all his strength. Even his body had suffered heavy injuries. So how could he use the four-layer wave sword? Even if it took his life, it was impossible. But this brat clearly knew this and still deliberately said such words. It was clear that he was mocking him. He had never seen such a tasteless slut. Winning was one thing, but he was actually humiliating the enemy. Not only did he want to defeat him, but he also wanted to humiliate him. This bastard wouldn't rest until he was beaten black and blue all over. Xiaoping, you demon, I'll fight you to the death. Jia Jijia roared to the sky, his face full of grief and indignation. Tears streamed down his cheeks, as if he was a woman who had been raped. He wanted to use all his strength to stab this brat to death. No matter what, he couldn't let this demon continue to be so smug. He and this bastard couldn't live under the same sky. But before he could even take a step, his whole body suddenly surged with intense pain. With a scream, his whole body fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth, and he completely fainted. With a bang, Jia Jijia's body was immediately surrounded by a mass of energy. He turned into a mass of white light and was directly teleported away, leaving only Xiaoping standing in place. At this time, a mechanical voice rang out in the sky. Xiaoping wins. He won just like that. Xiaoping was very dissatisfied. Originally, he wanted to fight with Jia Jijia for a while longer. He didn't expect Jia Jijia to be so weak and self-destruct so quickly. And this scene was also seen by the audience in the live broadcast room. A group of people were in an uproar. Demon, this Xiaoping is definitely a demon. He actually mocked and humiliated his opponent in front of his face after winning. He's too immoral, extremely immoral. How can there be such a martial artist? Jia Jijia is too unlucky. As a dignified king disciple, he has the strength to win the championship. I didn't expect to meet a monster in the first round. He used all his strength and still couldn't break his defense. Dying before achieving victory, a hero's heart is filled with tears. I can see Jia Jijia's despair. I feel the same way. He used all his strength and thought that he could sweep away an opponent in the martial master realm. I didn't expect that he couldn't even break his opponent's defense. Is there still justice in this world? If it were me, I would definitely doubt my life. This Xiaoping is strong, but his character is not good. He is a lowly person and can't become a respected great grandmaster. How can the prestigious Yanhuang University produce such a shameless person? Is no one going to do anything about it? People from key universities are like this. Their qualifications are very good, but their character is bad. Bullsh asterisk T, don't make a big statement here. Not all people from key universities are like this. That guy is also of the highest quality. He's an exception. Chapter 597. Back in the audience, in the conclave student section. This Xiaoping's defensive energy art is incredible. One of the conclave students had sharp eyes and was paying close attention to Xiaoping's defensive energy art. He actually blocked the triple wave sword's sword energy, weakened it, and even caused a backlash. I can't even see his weak spots. Just what kind of defensive technique is that? How come I can't see anything special about it? He was different from the ordinary viewers in the live broadcast room. He was a grandmaster with incredible martial arts, so he was most interested in the technique Xiaoping had used to defeat Jia Jijia. It was a huge shock to him. I'm not sure, but it's a very powerful defensive energy art. It's comparable to the Golden Bell Canopy, the 13 Guardians' defensive art, and the Vajra indestructible incantation. One of the conclave students had a very serious expression on his face. He knew how terrifying it was to cultivate a consummate defensive energy art to such a high level. It meant that even if an enemy used all their strength, they wouldn't be able to hurt him. Lu Chao had been famous before and was considered a favorite to win the championship, all because of his Vajra indestructible body. Who would have thought that another mysterious defensive energy art would appear in the cloud world? I wonder where it came from. Where did this kid get it? Another conclave student's eyes glittered. I'm not sure. I heard he's a commoner with no background. That's true. Even if he joined a giant corporation and became an elite student, he'd still have to pay a huge price to acquire a peerless defensive energy art like this. Considering his current wealth, I doubt he'd be able to acquire it. I bet it was some sort of fortuitous encounter. The kid must have found some ancient ruins, from which he obtained many secret martial arts manuals. That's how he rose to the top. Quite a few conclave students were discussing the matter. Fortuitous encounters weren't anything new. In fact, most of the martial arts manuals in the human world had been discovered through excavations. Even after 1,000 years, there were still rumors of people discovering new ruins and obtaining new manuals. Therefore, it was normal for Xiaoping to find an ancient ruin and reap great rewards. Conclave students like them had all encountered some sort of fortuitous encounter, which was why they were able to advance by leaps and bounds. Ha ha ha! How are you doing, Dao Bailon? Qiushu grinned at Dao Bailon. Didn't you say that he would be eliminated in the first round? He's no match for Jia Jijia. Right now, Jia Jijia is not Xiaoping's opponent at all. Even if he goes all out, he still can't break through his defense. Do you have any thoughts about this situation? Dream my ass. Dao Bailon gritted her teeth. She knew that Qiushu was slapping her in the face in front of everyone, so she asked her what she thought now. What else could she think? Could she say that Xiaoping fought well and won beautifully? No matter what, this narrow-minded woman would mock her and make her lose all face. So what if you beat Jia Jijia and break through the first round? He's just trying to show off his defensive energy arts. Dao Bailon was still very stubborn. In the end, he's just a 7th-level martial master brat. Compared to many peak martial master elite students, he's far from it. Just wait and see. Otherwise, he will suffer a crushing defeat and leave the arena with a long face. She gritted her teeth and cursed fiercely. Interesting, still so stubborn. In that case, do you want to bet with me? Qiushu changed the topic and looked at Dao Bailon, wanting to bet with her. Bet? Hearing this, Dao Bailon was dazed, not knowing what she was talking about. Yes, bet that he can become the champion of this genius competition. Qiushu said plainly. What? Hearing this, not only Dao Bailon, even the surrounding people were dumbfounded, as if they heard some fantasy story. They couldn't believe their ears. Ha! Instantly, Dao Bailon laughed loudly. Qiushu, you're crazy. I admit that this brat has some strength, but at most, he can only make it in the top 100. Becoming the champion is a fool's dream. Maybe you don't know how terrifying the descendants of the king clans and all kinds of geniuses are. Even if you have special feelings for this pretty boy, you wouldn't say such stupid words. Or maybe your brain is muddled and you don't even know what basic logic is. She laughed at Qiushu, thinking this was the biggest joke in the world. Indeed, even if this is a joke, it's a bit too much. The 4 great schools and the descendants of the king clans are all geniuses. Many of them are even at the peak of the martial master level, just one step away from becoming a master. Indeed, facing such a monster, that 7th grade martial master brat wants to become the champion. It's like stealing food from a tiger's mouth. I think he's overestimating himself. If he can reach the 9th grade martial master level, he might have a chance to become the champion. But now it's impossible. Though we respect Lady Chiu a lot, we really can't agree with what you're saying. You're looking down on the other geniuses too much, letting a 7th grade martial master level brat become the champion and step on everyone else. Do you really think the other geniuses grow up eating shit and let him do whatever he wants? Many core students snickered. Although they didn't have anything against Qiushu, they felt that her words were a bit too much. If the champion was really taken away by Xiaoping, the geniuses of the other schools and the descendants of the king clans would be humiliated. They were looking down on them too much. These people snorted at Qiushu's words. With a swoosh, Qiushu gently grabbed her body with her right hand. Immediately, a force that seemed to be able to shake mountains descended. Immediately, the surrounding core students looked over and saw a golden pill in Qiushu's right hand. As soon as the pill appeared, it instantly emitted a golden light, causing the sky to lose its color. The crowd could barely open their eyes, as they couldn't even look at it directly. It was like a sun. A majestic energy circulated around the golden pill. There seemed to be many ancient runes on it, containing a mysterious and profound power. It was simply unfathomable. There was even a wave of medicinal fragrance, which was mesmerizing. Many course students were energized, as if the bottleneck of their martial arts had been loosened at this moment. Limitless Dragon Sun Pill. As soon as the conclave students saw the medicinal pill, they shrieked, glaring at it. According to the legends, this pill uses dragon blood as a catalyst and 49,000-year-old spirit medicines. After 10 years, it can be concocted. It's a supreme medicinal pill. Chapter 598. 20% chance of advancing to the King Realm. All the core students held their breaths when they heard this. It was so quiet that they could even hear the sound of their own blood flowing. The effect was too shocking. Even though they were geniuses, and some were even peak Master Realm experts, it was extremely difficult for them to break through to the King Realm. Some people couldn't break through even after hundreds of years. After all, even though there was only a difference of a single level between Master Realm and King Realm, it was like the difference between heaven and hell. Many talented geniuses were stuck at the peak of the Grandmaster stage, unable to break through. If they had a pill that could increase their chances of breaking through by 20%, it would drive them crazy. Where did you get this limitless Dragon Sun pill from? A core student stared at Chioshu. Even kings might not have such a pill. It would fetch an astronomical price in an auction. It's practically priceless. You don't need to know that. I've had countless fortuitous encounters and gone through countless ruins. These experiences aren't something you can imagine. I naturally have the ability to obtain them. Chioshu spoke indifferently. So, now, I'll take out this pill to bet with you. I bet that he'll become the champion of the genius battle. Do you dare to bet? No way. Sume was surprised. If you're willing to take out such a pill, wouldn't it be easy for you to break through to the King Realm? Why are you taking it out? I can take out a mere infinite Dragon Sun pill. Besides, I don't need the help of a pill to advance to the King Realm. Chioshu spoke indifferently with incomparable confidence. I'll bet. A core student roared. I have a secret treasure called the Water Avoidance Pearl. With it, I can dive 10,000 meters into the ocean and search for countless treasures. I'll bet with you. Bet with me. I have a 1,000-year-old spirit herb called lava flower. It grows in supervolcanoes and absorbs the essence of lava. It contains boundless pure yang energy. I have a high-grade King Realm technique called transposition. It's a qigong that borrows strength from others. It has the power to move 1,000 kilograms with little effort. Once you master it, you'll be invincible and be able to fight experts everywhere. All of the core students, including Dao Bailon, were like this. They all cried out impatient. They all wanted to gamble with Chioshu, try to obtain this everlasting Dragon Yang pill. This was because the opportunity to obtain the infinite pure Yang pill was too rare. If he missed it, it would be gone forever. Moreover, they did not believe that Xia Ping, a junior at the 7th level of the Martial Master Realm, could win the championship. Such a probability was no different from an ordinary person winning the lottery. Therefore, this bet was basically giving them money. It would be stupid not to agree. All right, everyone signed the contract. Chioshu was expressionless as she signed the contract with the core students one by one. Once it was signed, no one could go back on their word, unless they were planning to destroy the human society. Dao Bailon and the others naturally did not hesitate either, because they were even more afraid that Chioshu would go back on her word. In that case, the infinite Dragon Sun pill would not fall into their hands. He's actually so confident. Could it be that this kid really has a trump card? Sume's beautiful eyes flickered. She didn't bet with Chioshu because she knew that Chioshu wasn't someone who would gamble if she wasn't confident. Since she dared to bet with Chioshu, there must be something fishy about it. Therefore, she decided to wait and see. Otherwise, she would just be foolishly giving Chioshu money. Xiaoping also did not know about the commotion in the spectator stands. He was currently facing his second opponent. Whoosh! Immediately, a figure appeared in front of Xiaoping. What? That figure was also shocked when he saw Xiaoping appear, as if he didn't expect to meet him here. I was wondering who it was. I didn't expect it to be senior brother Lu Boming. Why haven't you been eliminated yet? Xiaoping immediately recognized the contestant of his second round. It was Lu Boming, whom he had a great feud with in the training tower. He didn't expect to see this guy again in the elimination round. Furthermore, he was his opponent. Eliminated? Lu Boming smiled insincerely as he stared at Xiaoping. I'm curious as to why Junior Xia hasn't been eliminated yet. Did you bribe the judges with money? After all, aren't you best at throwing money at people? Without money, I reckon that Junior Xia will be nothing. He mocked Xiaoping for only using petty tricks. I earned all my money myself, unlike senior brother Lu Boming, who has a strong family background. If you don't have money, you can just ask your dad for it. People really can't compare. Xiaoping looked at Lu Boming with a smile. Compare my ass. Lu Boming gritted his teeth, and his face turned red with anger. He could hear that Xiaoping was mocking him as a parasite. Other than asking his dad for money, he didn't know how to do anything. But just now, he was mocking Xiaoping for only throwing money at people. However, Xiaoping earned the money himself, so how he spent it was none of his business. On the contrary, he spent his family's money with a clear conscience, never putting in any effort and only knowing how to take. This was truly despicable. I haven't seen you for a long time. Junior Xia, your mouth is still as sharp as ever. However, martial arts rely on real ability. Relying on words is useless. Lu Boming gritted his teeth and stared at Xiaoping with a cold expression. Last time in the training tower, if it weren't for the elders stopping me, you would have been crippled by me. Now, no one can stop me. This time, I'm going to teach you a lesson. He clenched his fist, and his body exuded a terrifying, murderous aura. One punch. Xiaoping suddenly stretched out a finger, interrupting Lu Boming's endless stream of words. What? Lu Boming was stunned. He didn't understand what Xiaoping meant. Senior Lu, don't you understand? I only need one punch to defeat you. Xiaoping clenched his fist, and his aura erupted like a mountain, shaking the heavens and the earth. This punch is a warning to you. Don't take advantage of your seniority, and don't hate this and that all day long. I'm not an enemy you can afford to offend. Kid, you're too arrogant. Lu Boming was instantly enraged, the kind that flew into a rage. I didn't expect you to be so arrogant in just a month. Good, very good. Let's see how you're going to defeat me with one punch. The aura on his body suddenly exploded. Upper King level cultivation method. Netherworld Narcissus diagram. Boom! Immediately, a terrifying aura erupted from Lu Boming's body. He stood on the ground, unable to withstand the sudden eruption of power. In an instant, a deep pit with a diameter of 2 to 3 meters appeared on the ground, and cracks spread out like a spider web. Ninth Heaven of Martial Master. Chapter 599. Rumble. Above Lu Boming's head, the true yuan vibrated and immediately condensed into a huge picture scroll. The blue true yuan turned into a stream of water, sketching lines on the picture scroll. The scroll showed huge mountains and rivers, crisscrossing each other and giving off a majestic aura. Every river on it was incomparably huge, equivalent to a peak martial master expert. It was enough to suppress countless monsters, and its quintessential essence was extremely dense. Even an expert who had just entered the Grandmaster realm might not be able to compare to Lu Boming's quintessential essence. This was the terror of the high-grade King Qigong, the Netherworld Narcissus immortal painting. This cultivation method was infinitely close to the peerless King Qigong, and the power it could unleash was not something ordinary people could imagine. So powerful. Is this one of the legendary supreme water cultivation methods? The Netherworld Narcissus immortal painting. Many people watching the live broadcast exclaimed. This was the first time they had seen someone successfully cultivate this cultivation method. In fact, there were many martial artists who had cultivated this cultivation method before, but most of them had failed. This cultivation method is extremely difficult to cultivate. I don't know how many geniuses want to cultivate it, but they all fail. In this picture scroll, each river is a meridian, and the surging water is true yuan. If you want to cultivate this qigong, you have to transform your own meridian using your body as a painting to condense the mountains, rivers, and rivers. If you want to completely cultivate this cultivation method, you need an extremely high talent, as well as an extremely strong mental power. Many people had heard of the power of the netherworld Narcissus immortal painting, but not many people had thought about cultivating it. Now that one had appeared, it was an eye-opener for them. This kid seems to be an elite student of Yenhuang University, and he seems to be Xiaoping Sr. But why does it look like the two have a bad relationship? Their words are full of sarcasm. Some people were confused. As people from the same university, even if they were not familiar with each other, there was no reason for them to be so hostile. But looking at the two of them, it seemed like they were about to fight. It's not strange at all. Xiaoping is hated by everyone in Yenhuang University. Who knows how many people want to beat him up? It's news that someone has a good relationship with him. Someone immediately revealed the inside story of the conflict between Xiaoping and Lu Boming. At the same time, he also vividly described what Xiaoping had done in Yenhuang University. He had angered the public, and his reputation in Yenhuang University was worse than dog shit. Oh my God, he's already arrogant and despotic at the beginning. Is he looking down on the other students? More than 100 ordinary students from the school's clubs were beaten up by him, and he almost killed them all. It's too cruel. After becoming an elite student, he became even worse. He even resorted to crafty schemes and swindled a large group of elite students of their money. He is simply infuriating. Moreover, he's a scumbag. Who knows how many goddesses in school have been defiled, humiliated, and toiled for by him day and night. Yet, no one dared to call the police. They all succumbed to his threats. Tyrant. This is simply an ancient tyrant. Can anyone control him? This was the first time many of the audience had heard about Xiaoping. Originally, they thought that this kid only looked down on people outside of Yenhuang University. They didn't expect that he wouldn't even let go of people from his own university. He was even more miserable. As the saying goes, a rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its nest. This kid eats everything and nothing is taboo. He is a glutton. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Lu Boming's aura had already reached its peak. The entire combat space was shaking. He blasted a punch at Xiaoping. Profound meaning, wild dance of 10,000 snakes. This move of profound meaning almost used up all of Lu Boming's strength. The entire netherworld Narcissus painting in the sky emitted a huge light. Strands of blue light came one after another, as if they were solidifying. As Lu Boming blasted out his fist, the huge painting seemed to come to life. Rivers burst out and condensed into huge water snakes. They were densely covered in scales. A wave of netherworld chi spread out in all directions. Even the ground was frozen by this wave of netherworld chi, turning into ice. Whoosh! The water snakes roared and let out a huge roar. Their aura was terrifying to the extreme. It was as if thousands of demons had come out at the same time, wanting to tear Xiaoping into pieces. This was a peerless attack that could dim the sun and moon. However, at this moment, Xiaoping also made his move. He took a step forward. His left hand was a tiger, while his right hand was a dragon. Both his arms seemed to have dragon and tiger tattoos at this moment. This kind of aura was shocking, and it vaguely produced the image of a dragon and tiger. An azure dragon roamed the heavens and earth, moving clouds and bringing rain. A ferocious tiger roared in the forest, and all beasts submitted to it. At this moment, the image of a dragon and tiger accompanied each other and merged into one. It was as if the power of heaven and earth had condensed into one, and the power of wind and cloud had merged. The ninth move of the myriad beast's fist, Dragon Tiger Seal. After advancing to the 7th tier of the Martial Master realm, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. His understanding of the myriad beast's fist had also deepened, and the power he displayed was many times stronger than before. His every move seemed to contain the power of thousands of beasts. It was as if he had been possessed by a dragon and tiger. The dragon came from the wind, and the tiger came from the clouds. Rumble, at the moment when the power of the azure dragon and the power of the tiger merged into one, a golden dragon and tiger seal appeared in the void. This seal shone with golden light like a sun. It was sacred, vast, and mysterious. It contained an unparalleled pressure, as if it represented the imperial power. It contained a hint of the emperor wanting his subjects to die, and the subjects had no choice but to die. The people watching the live broadcast could feel this unparalleled pressure even through the screen. Some of the weaker martial artists even prostrated and worshipped it. Dong! Immediately, the golden seal smashed down from the sky like a meteorite, carrying an endless destructive power. The gigantic water snakes were immediately torn apart by this force into dozens of pieces. When the force penetrated the bodies of tens of thousands of water snakes, golden light shone in all directions, penetrating them completely. Lu Boming let out a miserable cry. His face was twisted as his body was struck by a tremendous force. His skin cracked open, and a large amount of blood flowed out, turning him into a bloody man. His neck, face, torso, arms, legs, and other parts of his body were covered in bloody wounds. His clothes were instantly torn to shreds, leaving behind only a pair of underpants. Half of his hair was shaved off, leaving him bald in the middle. His handsome face was now swollen like a pig's head, and it was hard to tell his original appearance. At this moment, his internal organs were severely injured. He fell to the ground, unable to move, and let out a painful cry. Xiaoping stepped forward and looked down at Lu Boming. Lu Boming, I respect you as my senior. This punch is just a lesson for you, not to kill you. In the future, when you see me again, you better tuck your tail between your legs and focus on your cultivation. Don't have any evil thoughts. Chapter 600. You. Hearing Xiaoping's condescending words, as if he was a senior guiding a junior, Lu Boming was furious. His face flushed red, and he wanted to bite this bastard to death. What was his status? Or why did this kid have to guide him like his father? It was as if he was teaching him some life lessons. He even told him to tuck his tail between his legs and focus on cultivation. Don't think too much. Think my ass. He, Lu Boming, was the pride of the heavens, the descendant of a king. He was born noble and superior. Who could restrict him? Who could make him tuck his tail between his legs? The surrounding audience was speechless. This kid was shameless to the extreme. He said that he didn't take Lu Boming's life because he was giving face to his senior. That was **T. In the Sun Moon Cities duel, the system was omnipresent. Once there was a life-threatening danger, they would immediately be transferred out. There was no need to worry about their lives. But in this bastard's mouth, it was because he was giving face to Lu Boming. He even told him to be grateful in the future. Why was this bastard so thick-skinned? Even a laser cannon probably couldn't penetrate it. What? Senior Lu, are you still not convinced? Do you want to fight again? This time, I'll give you a handicap. If you can touch a single hair on me, it's your win. Xiaoping glanced at him. Bastard. The crowd gritted their teeth. Lu Boming had been crippled by you. His limbs were broken, and he no longer had any strength to fight. Even moving a finger required a lot of strength. In such a situation, how could Lu Boming fight? Even if you stood in front of him, Lu Boming probably wouldn't be able to touch you. But now he said he would give him a handicap. It was obvious that he saw through Lu Boming's predicament and that he no longer had any strength to fight. That was why he said such words to humiliate Lu Boming. If he really had the ability, he should have said such words at the start of the duel. Lu Boming was infuriated. With a puff, he opened his mouth and vomited. He was so angry that he suffered internal injuries. A mouthful of blood spurted out and splattered on the ground, dyeing the ground in a 1-meter radius red. This kind of blood sprayed out was half a kilogram. The system immediately detected that Lu Boming was in danger. A ball of energy wrapped around him and instantly teleported him to Sun Moon City's hospital for emergency treatment. Xiaoping wins. The system's voice sounded, announcing Xiaoping's victory. Damn it, this bastard won again. Is there no one who can stop this bully's advance? Someone will definitely succeed. The strength of those geniuses is not to be underestimated. They are not people that this tyrant can defeat. Many of the spectators were unconvinced and gritted their teeth. If such a bully won the championship, it would be a joke for the genius battle. They cursed fiercely, hoping that someone would step out to stop Xiaoping and eliminate him so that he wouldn't continue to be an eyesore here and cause trouble. Unfortunately, their hopes were dashed again and again. Half an hour later, the third round of the knockout round began. Bang! It was Miao Renjia, an expert of the Saber Dao from the Black and White Academy. His cultivation was at the 8th level of the martial master realm, and his saber techniques were close to perfection. It was said that he had once joined the army and fought with many demon soldiers. The number of demon corpses he had killed was enough to build a small mountain. His battle experience was extremely rich. However, this Miao Renjia was not Xiaoping's opponent. He was crippled by one punch, and even a knife in his hand was smashed into a pile of scrap iron. His internal organs were severely injured, and he spat out a large amount of blood. He was directly eliminated. Dang! The fourth opponent was Tianjin University's spear expert, Chen Yufeng. His spear was like lightning, and the attack power of each spear was extremely terrifying. The spear's shadows overlapped, and it was like a dense spring. His martial cultivation had even reached the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. However, this kind of spear technique was not powerful enough and could not break through Xiaoping's defense at all. After trying for a long time, he was finally kicked in the vital spot by Xiaoping. His balls exploded, and he was directly eliminated. Even if he was cured, his heart would probably be severely injured. The fifth opponent was a king-level disciple, Dong Mucha. He was extremely arrogant. As a king-level disciple, many people would bow to him, flatter him, and be domineering. They had just met, and this guy wanted Xiaoping to surrender, or else he would break all the bones in his body and threaten him. The result could be imagined. Xiaoping broke his teeth with one punch, and he was even grabbed by Xiaoping and beaten up. His face swelled up like a pig's head, and his fists hit his flesh. After a few minutes, he was already lying on the ground, dying. In the end, the system judged that Dong Mucha's life was in danger, and he was eliminated and sent out. Otherwise, his life would definitely be in danger. After fighting a few matches, a day and a night had passed. At this time, Xiaoping had already entered the top 100. Those who could enter the top 100 were basically experts at the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. There were also some monsters at the 8th heaven of the martial master realm, but only Xiaoping was at the 7th heaven of the martial master realm. Xiaoping's name also began to spread throughout the whole Sun Moon City, and many people knew about him. It can't be right. This kid is really unstoppable and smoothly entered the top 100. Some people who had enmity with Xiaoping were very unwilling. They had always hoped that Xiaoping would be defeated, but it never happened. It can't be helped. Although I have to admit that Xiaoping is too strong. That's right. That mysterious defensive energy art alone is enough to make him invincible. This kind of defense is probably comparable to Liu Chao, who has the indestructible Vajra body. His fist technique has also reached a high level, and it has reached the acme of perfection. Just a casual move is natural, flawless, and untraceable. He is simply a martial Dao grandmaster. Not to mention this bastard's character, his strength is really terrifying. If he advances to the 9th heaven of the martial master realm in a few years, I guess there will be no suspense in the competition. Many people in the audience felt helpless. Even if they did not like Xiaoping, it was useless. This world was a world of martial artists, where the strong were respected and the weak were prey to the strong. Whether or not he was strong, they would know after a battle. An expert would not fade because of other people's doubts, nor because of all kinds of rumors. No matter how unwilling and indignant they were, there was nothing they could do. They could only swallow their anger. However, such a result of the competition fell into the eyes of many course students and immediately made their faces turn serious. They could not help but feel a faint trace of worry in their hearts. Because in order to obtain the infinite Longyang elixir, they had to fight with Qiuxiu. If they lost the competition, not only would they lose the infinite Longyang elixir, but they would also lose their precious treasures. Chapter 601. At this moment, in one of the core students' resting rooms in Sun Moon City, Dao Bailon and the other course students who had bet with Xioshu gathered together. The atmosphere in the resting room was heavy. This won't do. If this continues, this kid might really be able to win the championship. A course student's expression was very serious. Before, he was still careless, but now that he was serious, he even had a feeling that he was about to lose. Strength, speed, true essence, and even his comprehension of martial techniques are all at the peak of the martial master realm. A bald core student clenched his teeth. I didn't expect this to only be the seventh heaven of the martial master realm. I really can't imagine how terrifying this kid's strength will be if he advances to the ninth heaven of the martial master realm. After a few battles, they could see that Xia Ping definitely had the strength to win the championship. Ordinary experts of the ninth heaven of the martial master realm couldn't even block one of his punches. This kind of fist technique was already at the peak of perfection, entering the realm of perfection. Every move had the power to turn something rotten into something magical. This was the aura of a grandmaster. No wonder Xioshu dared to bet with us. She didn't fight a battle that she had no confidence in. A core student clenched his fist. He was very unwilling. If he lost this time, not only would he not be able to get the limitless Dragon Sun pill, he would even lose 1,000-year-old spiritual medicine. This was like cutting off his flesh. This Xia Ping is indeed very impressive, but to say that he can win the championship is really overestimating him. Another core student with a crew cut laughed coldly. After entering the top 100, which one of them isn't a monster? All of them have trump cards. Some elite students at the peak of the martial master realm can even match experts who have just entered the grandmaster realm. He wants to win the championship? That's a fool's dream. Even after seeing Xia Ping's performance in the past few battles, he still didn't believe that Xia Ping could win the championship. Many core students had the same thoughts. But even so, they still felt a faint uneasiness in their hearts. This was because they didn't know what trump card Xia Ping had. Although that's what you say, it's better to be safe than sorry. A black-clothed core student's eyes flashed with a cold light. We have to think of a foolproof plan. Otherwise, if this brat really becomes the champion, we'll suffer heavy losses. This is like cutting our flesh and drawing our blood. His expression was ferocious and murderous. This bet couldn't be lost. Oh, foolproof plan? What gang? Could it be that you have some idea? The core students present all turned their heads to look at the student in black. This was Aries College's core student, Hua Gang. Make him withdraw from the competition. The black-clothed student, Hua Gang, sneered and said something that shocked the world. Withdraw. Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding core students immediately lit up. This was indeed a good solution. Once this kid Xia Ping withdrew from the competition, it would naturally be impossible for him to become a champion. They would win the bet, and they wouldn't even need to be afraid that this kid would advance triumphantly and win the championship. Brilliant. This method is really brilliant. This is a drastic measure. If this kid withdraws from the competition, we will naturally win without a fight. The problem is, how do we get this kid to withdraw from the competition? This is going to be troublesome. Quite a few core students were overjoyed, nodding their heads. They felt that this was a brilliant plan. However, it was difficult to make someone who had a chance of becoming the champion withdraw from the competition. What else can we do? Go straight to the point. Hua Gang smiled sinisterly. We will call him out directly and ask him to withdraw from the competition. I believe that if we, the core students, go over to pressure him, how would a mere elite student dare to disobey? Then we will just give him a few pills and send him away. I believe that he can only swallow his anger. Of course, if he doesn't give us face and doesn't take it when we give him face, we don't need to be polite with him. We will directly destroy his prestige. His tone was extremely domineering, wanting to use his power to suppress others. Not bad. This is a good idea. Let's do it this way. Let him withdraw from the competition. This is foolproof. But this matter must be kept secret. We can't let Xiu Xue and the others know, or else there will be a storm. Without evidence, she can't do anything to us. No need to worry. Many course students decided on this matter in a few words. In order to obtain the infinite Longyang pill, in order to win the bet, They did not care what methods they used. Umph, I won't be involved in this matter. Dao Bailon stood out at this moment. I still feel that this matter is too despicable. Using power to suppress others is extremely inappropriate. This is giving others a handle. Actually, even if we don't do anything, this kid will not be able to become the champion. Right now, all of you are afraid of Chiyoshua, that bitch. In front of so many prodigies, no matter how strong that kid is, he won't be able to overturn the heavens. She expressed that she didn't want to be involved in this matter. Dao Bailon, what do you mean by this? Hua Gang stared at Dao Bailon. We are all on the same boat. We should advance and retreat together. Now you actually say that this matter is too despicable and you don't want to be involved. Do you know that your actions are very disunited? Do you know what it means to consider the big picture? Many core students looked at Dao Bailon with unfriendly expressions. What? Do you still want to fight with me? Dao Bailon laughed coldly. It's not that I'm looking down on you. Just based on your shrimp soldiers and crab generals, I can handle them with one hand. A group of core students stared at Dao Bailon in anger. They were extremely annoyed. Enough, don't fight among yourselves here. A highly respected core student spoke. Since you, Dao Bailon, don't want to be involved, then we won't force you. But you mustn't tell anyone about this matter. Otherwise, you will become our enemy, and we won't rest until one of us dies. He was called Chao Zhengbin, a terrifying master at the peak of Grandmaster. Even among this group of core students, he was overwhelmingly powerful. Countless core students revered him, and he was highly respected. Once these words were spoken, the other core students immediately shut up. Of course, although I don't approve of this matter, but to be able to make Chiyoshua suffer, I still feel very happy. Naturally, I won't tell anyone. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. After saying this, Dao Bailon turned around and left. Seeing Dao Bailon's figure disappear from this room, Hua Gang fiercely slammed the table with a bang. He said coldly, "That bitch, she made it sound nice. She just didn't want to get involved in this kind of thing and give others a handle over her. That's why she purposely said such things. Now that she's gotten the benefits, she doesn't want to take any blame. What a good scheme." He was extremely unconvinced. Forget it. Either way, this matter is of great benefit to us. If she doesn't tell anyone about this, it'll be considered a favor, and she won't be able to escape this responsibility. Chao Zhengbin said lightly. Anyway, we must win this bet. We must be absolutely safe. His eyes revealed a frightening cold light. He was determined to get the ultimate Dragon Sun pill, because he was at the peak of Grandmaster and had yet to break through. One could imagine his desire for the ultimate Dragon Sun pill. Chapter 602. At this moment, Sun Moon City's dining hall. After a day of battles, Xiaoping came to the dining hall to eat. The food provided here was all free. This was a benefit for the participants. Moreover, there was a wide variety of food. There were all kinds of monster meat, exotic delicacies, wild spirit herbs, and so on. They were all very delicious and contained abundant energy. Not only could eating them relieve fatigue, but it could also strengthen the body's true essence. He came to an empty table alone and enjoyed the food happily. As soon as he ate, it was immediately converted into a large amount of pure essence qi, which flowed into his limbs and bones. Xiaoping felt that his whole body was warm, as if there were more than 10 warm currents running around in his body. Xiaoping. At this moment, a young man dressed in red walked over. He looked down at Xiaoping with an arrogant expression and said, "My big brother has something to discuss with you. Come out now and find a quiet place to talk." He was not polite and wanted to call Xiaoping out. There were 2 or 3 people behind this man. They seemed to be his companions. Xiaoping glanced sideways and saw that this young man was also a participant in the top 100. He said indifferently, "Who is your big brother? If he wants to talk, ask him to come out himself. Why do you want me to go over? Do you know what you're worth?" What? Hearing this, the group of people revealed anger and glared at Xiaoping. "Brat!" The young man in red glared at Xiaoping. "My big brother is a core student and a grandmaster. Such a person invited you, and you want him to come over? Do you know what you're saying?" He clenched his fists and suppressed his anger. "So what if you're a core student? Is that so great? You want to take advantage of your seniority and put on airs in front of me? You're not qualified at all. Xiao Ping said disdainfully. If you have nothing to say, then scram. I can't be bothered to talk to you bunch of losers. He waved his hand and ordered the group of people to leave. Xiao Ping, the young man in red, shouted angrily. Don't be so shameless. It's your honor that a course student invited you. He wants to give you some advice. Don't be so ungrateful. The others also had anger in their eyes, and their faces were very unkind. They felt that this brat did not know how to behave. With that, the young man in red reached out to grab Xiao Ping's collar. Bang! Xiao Ping raised his hand and struck out with a slap that was like the horn of an antelope. It was traceless and contained supreme martial profundities, causing the red-clothed young man to be unable to react at all. Suddenly, the red-clothed young man was caught off guard. His face took a solid slap, and his entire body flew through the air, spinning 7 or 8 times. He let out a shrill scream and finally fell from the sky, smashing several wooden tables in succession. The surrounding students who were eating were so frightened that they retreated, knocking over the food on the table. The ground was a mess. I gave you face, but you don't want it. Xiao Ping stood up and glanced at them disdainfully. I told you to scram just now, but you didn't. Instead, you're chattering here and disturbing my meal. Do you really think that I don't have a temper? If I don't flip out, no one will take my words seriously, right? Tell me, are you scum? Do you need to be beaten up before you know what it means to be obedient? He clenched his fists, and his body emitted a boundless, murderous aura that intimidated everyone present. F***CK, domineering, too domineering. Seeing Xiao Ping's rude and unreasonable behavior, the group of people who came with the red-clothed young man were all shocked. They retreated more than 10 steps, not daring to get close to Xiao Ping. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that this brat would be so fierce. He attacked without saying anything. He was simply ignoring the rules of the Sun Moon City. He was extremely domineering. The surrounding onlookers also looked at Xiao Ping speechlessly. This brat still has the cheek to act like this. He doesn't even have a temper? What do you mean by having a temper? Beating people up at the slightest provocation? No one's temper is as big as this brat's. You. The red-clothed young man was practically going crazy. He covered his red and swollen face because Xiao Ping's slap just now had caused his face to swell, leaving a red palm print. Even 2 of his front teeth were broken, and a large amount of blood gushed out of his mouth. Traces of intense pain spread throughout his body, as if all the nerves in his body were pricking. However, this kind of pain was secondary. Most importantly, he was slapped by this brat in front of so many people. This kind of humiliation was simply intolerable. You? Do you believe that I won't slap you again? Xiao Ping shouted. A lowly person dares to talk to me? You don't even know your own identity. If your big brother wants to talk to me, tell him to get over here. Why are you all hiding your head and showing your tail? Do you think that your identity is very mysterious? You all pretend to be a nobody. Despicable Xia, I'll fight it out with you. The red-clothed young man was so angry that the firecracker in his heart suddenly exploded. He couldn't bear it at all. His expression was extremely ferocious. He circulated the qigong in his body and punched towards Xiao Ping. This punch was like the arrival of a giant bear. The surrounding air was vibrating, showing the combat power of a peak 9th heaven martial master. The entire dining hall was swept by this strong wind, and it seemed that the ground was trembling. Stop! With a boom, suddenly, a pressure of Mount Tai descended, instantly wrapping the red-clothed young man's body, making his fist unable to move even an inch. Even the place where he stood seemed to have exerted 10 times the gravity. It immediately collapsed, forming a deep pit. Whoosh! Next, a figure appeared. It was a black-clothed man. He blocked in front of the red-clothed young man with one palm. His clothes fluttered even though there was no wind, showing the aura of a grandmaster. The surrounding audience was shocked. They had no idea when this black-clothed man appeared. He was like a bolt of lightning, a speed that even the human eye couldn't catch. Xiao Ping's infernal crow eyes could barely see it, but he knew that even if he could see it, his body wouldn't be able to react. This speed had already surpassed the current reaction speed of his body. Big Brother Huagang. Seeing the black-clothed man appear, the red-clothed young man was stunned for a moment, then said angrily, "Don't stop me. This kid is too arrogant. I must kill him." He gritted his teeth, incomparably resentful. "Enough." The black-clothed man Huagang stared at him, his eyes filled with supreme majesty. "Yes, yes, big brother." Feeling the pressure, the red-clothed young man immediately lowered his head, not daring to speak again. "My brother was indeed a bit impulsive just now, causing you trouble. I can apologize on his behalf," Huagang said to Xia Ping in a deep voice. "It's okay. Just be careful next time. Remember to educate him more in the future. Otherwise, if he provokes others, no one will be able to protect him," Xia Ping said carelessly. What? Chapter 603. Everyone else had a strange expression on their faces. Although they had heard of Xia Ping's reputation and that he was simply a piece of work, now that they saw it, it seemed that his reputation was not as good as meeting him in person. "Since you want to talk to me, then let's talk here." Huagang looked at Xia Ping indifferently, then turned to the others and said, "You guys go clear the area. Let the irrelevant people leave now. Don't be a hindrance here." "Yes, big brother." The surrounding people all nodded, and they immediately took action, driving away all the students who were eating, occupying an area, and completely emptying it. At the same time, they worked together, circulating the qigong in their bodies, condensing a huge true energy shield, as if forming an absolute domain. No sound could penetrate this energy shield. "All right, what do you want to talk to me about?" Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. Looking at the core, student Huagang, the other used such a big force, and even lowered his posture. It seemed that his demands were high. "Junior Xia is indeed a straightforward person. Then I will be direct. Actually, I want you to withdraw from this competition of geniuses," Huagang said bluntly to Xia Ping. "Withdraw from the competition?" Xia Ping looked at Huagang with a smile that was not a smile. Huagang smiled slightly. "Of course, we will not let you suffer. As long as you are willing to withdraw from the competition, then we can also make up for some of your losses, whether it is money, medicinal pills, or martial arts manuals, etc." He revealed a rich and overbearing look. "Why do you want me to withdraw from the competition? What does my participation in the competition have to do with you, a core student?" Xia Ping narrowed his eyes, looking at Huagang. "You do not need to know the reason. You only need to know that if you continue to participate in the competition and even continue to win, then you will offend many core students." Huagang used both the carrot and the stick. "I believe that you do not want this to happen, so I hope that you better agree. Do not shed all pretenses, or else it will not be good for you." His tone was full of threat. "All right. As for the reason you want me to withdraw from the competition, actually I do not mind," Xia Ping said carelessly. "But without enough compensation, I will not withdraw." "Oh, what do you want?" Huagang immediately laughed. He was afraid that Xia Ping would not have anything to talk about. As long as he was willing to talk, then this matter could be settled. 5 trillion. Xia Ping stretched out 5 fingers. "As long as you promise to give me 5 trillion federal coins, then I will withdraw from this competition." He put forward his own conditions. 5 trillion federal coins? Why don't you just King rob a bank? No, even if you rob the Central Federal Bank, you might not be able to get that much money. Are you crazy? The man in red cursed. He looked at Xia Ping as if he was a madman. The corners of the others' mouths twitched. Did they know what 5 trillion federal coins meant? Even an astronomical figure could not describe this sum. Even if an ordinary sovereign clan sold their entire fortune, they would not be able to fork out this sum. Now, this kid wants 5 trillion federal coins. He's really crazy about money. Not even 5 trillion. What a bunch of paupers. Xia Ping disdainfully said. "All right, if you don't have federal coins, you can use other things to exchange, such as treasures. Just give me 7 or 8 of them. My requirements aren't high. Or you can also give me 3 or 5 Peerless King grade secret manuals. If you have any 10,000-year-old spirit herbs, you can give me 2 or 3. I'm not picky." He showed that he was not fastidious. "You're crazy. The man in red and the others did not even have the strength to scold him because such a request was beyond their imagination. Do you know what treasures are? Even king-grade experts did not have one. This was a truly priceless weapon, a treasure that could not be bought with money. Once one obtained it, it would definitely be the clan's treasure. A peerless king-grade secret manual was even more of a supreme treasure. Unless one was a super-class clan or a peak power, they would not be able to find such a secret manual. This was an absolute secret. Some people had once wanted to use an entire city to exchange for a peerless king-grade secret manual, but they were all rejected. One could imagine how precious such a secret manual was. It could no longer be measured by price. And 10,000-year-old spirit herbs, they had only heard of such things. They had not even seen many of them. If they really appeared, even king-grade experts would go crazy and fight for them. How could they have a chance? This kid wanted to get 2 or 3 of them. Why didn't he go to the heavens? Dream on, they might still be able to obtain them. Your request is too much. It's very unrealistic. Huagang's expression was very dark. If you want money, I can make the decision to give you 50 billion federal coins. No more than that. He also put forward his own conditions. 50 billion federal coins? Are you trying to get rid of a beggar? Do you know what reward I will get for becoming the champion of the genius battle? Treasures, a peerless treasures. Xiaoping looked at Huagang with disdain. You don't even want to pay a price and want me to withdraw from the competition. You're simply a fool's dream. He no longer wanted to talk to this group of people. There was no sincerity at all. Continue to brag. You want to become the champion of the genius battle with this kind of conduct? Why don't you say that your father is the Federation president? That way, more people might believe you. 50 billion federal coins is already not bad. If you lose the competition, you won't even get a fart. This is a benefit that Brother Huagang is clearly giving you, but you don't even know how to cherish it. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Do you understand? The red-clothed young man and the others were so angry that they almost died, glaring at Xiaoping. 100 billion, 100 billion, what do you think? Huagang said in a deep voice. Xiaoping waved his hand. Get out of here. 5 trillion federal coins. I can't be bothered with you even if it's a penny less. You'll regret it. Huagang didn't continue to pester him. He looked deeply at Xiaoping with a deep threat. Get out. Xiaoping only said this one word. He was too lazy to say anything else. Whether he would regret it later or not was not up to this kid to judge. Who did he think he was? Did he really think he was a king? Let's go. Huagang waved his hand and turned to leave. His face was gloomy, and there was a terrifying anger in his heart. At this moment, he even wanted to kill Xiaoping. But he didn't say anything, nor did he bargain. He didn't even have the mood to bid anymore, because he knew that according to Xiaoping's attitude, this matter had fallen through. It was impossible for him to accept such an absurd price. To be honest, if he had 5 trillion federal coins, why would he need to gamble with Qiuxiu? He would have bought these peerless pills a long time ago. No matter what, he would be able to advance to the king realm. Therefore, these conditions that Xiaoping put forward were impossible for them to agree to. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The red-clothed man and the others also glanced at Xiaoping. Without saying anything, they all left the cafeteria. Chapter 604. At this time, in a hotel room in Sun Moon City. Did you hear? In the room, Su Mei smiled and said to Qiuxiu, just now, Huagang's group went to find Xiaoping. Although I don't know what they are doing, I think they want Xiaoping to withdraw from the competition. They want to win without a fight. Aren't you nervous? She looked at Qiuxiu. There is nothing to be nervous about. This group of people has a wishful thinking. Unfortunately, they don't know what kind of person Xiaoping is. He is a stone in the latrine pit, neither soft nor hard. He is not easy to deal with. Qiuxiu knew everything, and her expression was indifferent. No need to say more. They must have failed. They did fail. Su Mei nodded. When they left, they were flustered and exasperated. Without a doubt, they did not reach an agreement. But you know Xiaoping so well. This is really out of my expectation. She thought this news would scare Qiuxiu. She wanted to see her anxious expression, but she was indifferent, as if she had a card up her sleeve. After all, I have been his homeroom teacher for a year. I more or less know his character. Xiaoshu's beautiful eyes twinkled. She also thought of the series of things that Xia Ping had experienced. And the prize for the champion of the genius competition is a treasure. That is a priceless treasure. I believe that kid will not give it up no matter what. As for Hua Gang's group, even if you beat them to death, they would not be able to take out something that is more valuable than a treasure. Therefore, their plan will definitely fail. There is no possibility of success. She knew both sides' characters very well. Amazing. Sume also admired Xiaoshu. Not only was her martial talent amazing, but her intelligence was also off the charts. It could only be said that enemies who dared to go against her all died miserably. But he is still very mysterious. Until now, I still don't know how he soared to the sky. Xiaoshu's beautiful eyes twinkled. She was still very curious about Xia Ping's sudden rise. But Hua Gang's group will not let this go. Sume looked at Xiaoshu with a smile. Even if the negotiation breaks down, according to their characters, they will definitely think of all kinds of crooked ideas. They might even dare to stab you in the back. Don't you need to be on guard? She thought that Hua Gang's group might use all kinds of despicable methods. In order to win, they would not care about their reputation and would do anything. They would do anything. It's just some crafty plots. Xiaoshu sneered and said, it's because they use these unpresentable things that they are stuck in the supreme power realm for such a long time and can't break through. They lose the bravery of warriors. With my invincible martial arts state of mind, they will be like this for the rest of their lives. However, we do have to be on guard. If they dare to plot against Xia Ping, then this bet will be canceled. We might even have to sue them for breaking the bet and demand huge compensation. She had already thought of a series of countermeasures, and her killing intent soared. Sume ran her fingers through her hair. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a peculiar light. This matter was getting more and more interesting. She didn't know if that brat could really become the champion of the genius competition. On the other side, the first bureau cultivators, Hua Gang, and the other core students had also gathered together. At this time, they also received the news that Xia Ping refused to withdraw from the competition, and all of them had gloomy expressions. You don't know how to appreciate favors. A core student coldly snorted. He actually doesn't give us core students any face. Does a mere freshman like him want to die? Does he know the consequences and price of offending us core students? Can he at least bear it? He was very angry that Xia Ping dared to refuse their conditions. He still wants to ask for 5 trillion federal coins. This is too exaggerated. This is simply robbery. What do you think we core students are? Fools, ATM machines? We can take whatever money we want. There is no doubt that this brat proposed such ridiculous conditions. He is simply toying with us. He doesn't have any sincerity. Maybe this brat has long been in cahoots with that bitch Xiaoshu. That's why he said such words. Damn it. He actually dares to play with us. I will not forgive this son of a bitch. Many core students were cursing, and all of them were very angry. A mere elite student actually dared to oppose them, core students. This could not be described as bold and arrogant, but clearly courting death. Hua Gang, tell me, what should we do about this matter? Should we immediately cripple this brat and secretly send people to break his limbs and make him withdraw from the competition? A core student was full of killing intent. He wanted to secretly make a move and cripple Xia Ping. According to his grandmaster strength, dealing with a mere martial master was simply a piece of cake. No, Chao Zhengbin suddenly said. Just now, Xiaoshu has already sent an email to warn us not to break the rules of the game. If anything happens to Xia Ping, she will flip the table and give us a good look. What? Hearing this, the faces of the other elite students suddenly became ugly. If it was an ordinary person who said such words, they would not take it seriously at all and even snort disdainfully. But the person who said these words was Xiaoshu, the woman who could be called a peerless demon. There is no doubt that this woman would definitely be promoted to the king realm in the future, and her strength would be amazing. If they offended such a strong person, even the families behind them would not be able to bear such consequences. If they forced Xiaoshu to turn hostile and flip the table, they would not have an easy time either. Moreover, this matter was really their fault. If they directly took action and dealt with Xia Ping, it would be breaking the rules of the game. No matter where they put it, it would not be justified. If this matter was blown up by Qiu Shue, they would definitely not be able to bear the consequences, and they might even be forced to bow their heads by their families. Damn it, this won't do. That won't do. Are we going to watch this toy boy run amok and continue to be free and unfettered? A core student was very sullen. This was the first time he had been forced to this extent by a small elite student. When did core students have to bow their heads to elite students? There was no such logic in the world, and it was unheard of. Not necessarily. Huagang's eyes revealed a trace of cold light. Although we can't kill that guy, we can improve the strength of those opponents. In short, if this guy can't win the championship, it will be our victory. He came up with a vicious plan. Oh, what do you want to do? Chao Zhongbin and the others looked at Huagang. Huagang sneered. It's very simple. We will immediately issue a reward. Whoever can defeat Xiaoping will get a huge reward. Even if someone can injure Xiaoping during the competition, they will also get a reward. After one competition after another, this guy's injuries continue to worsen. Even if he really has the ability to advance to the finals, he would already be riddled with scars by now. Let me ask you, how is he going to defeat the other geniuses and become the champion? Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding core students all lit up. This plan was not bad, and it was simply an overt plot. No matter how powerful that guy was, if he were to face a group of opponents who were going all out, it would be impossible for him to win consecutively.